To BitcoinAverage.com, the average price of Bitcoin is $656. Antiwar.com reports the 72-hour ceasefire in Yemen expired over the weekend and fighting resumed almost immediately thereafter. Both sides spent virtually the whole ceasefire accusing the others of violations, though in practice the number of casualties plummeted during the truce and the capital of Sana'a was barely touched. Sana'a was immediately the target of the new rounds of airstrikes, with several attacks reported against both the city itself and the nearby port of Hodeidah. The Houthis launched attacks against pro-Saudi targets as well, with heavy artillery fire reported against the areas of Taiz, and Saudi officials reporting a pair of houses destroyed in the Jazan province. UN officials were working to try to secure another ceasefire or an extension of the existing one right up through its expiration, though in the end neither side has reported much interest, and indeed there was so much effort by both sides in blaming the other for shortcomings in the ceasefire that both seem at least a bit relieved that it's over. This 72-hour ceasefire was the result of calls by US and British officials and allowed for an influx of humanitarian aid. Exactly how much aid got in is unclear, but there were no peace talks or anything else, so the effort appears to have begun and ended with getting everyone a few days off from fighting and little aid delivered. For nearly 40 years, Roberts & Roberts Brokerage has been a trusted source for buying and selling precious metals like gold and silver. They also take Bitcoin for precious metal purchases and have permanently removed the minimum purchase amount for all orders paid in the digital currency. Call Roberts & Roberts today for knowledgeable advice on buying and selling precious metals and a forward-thinking approach to new technologies. 800-874-9760 or visit online at rrbi.co. UPI reports at least 13 people were killed after a tour bus and big rig collided on Interstate 10 Sunday morning in California. The Riverside County Coroner's Office confirmed the death toll to KNBC-TV in Los Angeles. Also, 31 people were transported to 3 area hospitals, according to the California Highway Patrol. Desert Regional Medical Center, which was the valley's only trauma center, was treating 14 patients Sunday morning, including 5 in critical condition and 3 in serious condition. Stephanie Hamilton from the California Highway Patrol said the bus, belonging to USA Holiday, a Los Angeles-based tour company, may have been coming from Red Earth Casino near the Salton Sea. The driver, who was taken to the hospital for treatment, was identified as one of its owners, according to Hamilton. Hamilton said the Highway Patrol is bringing in its specialized unit that investigates major crashes and that the westbound lanes on I-10 would be closed for some time. Are you an advocate for free market money? Do you promote Bitcoin as an alternative in a fiat-centric world? Then you need Spendabit in your arsenal, the search engine for things you can buy with Bitcoin. Spendabit aggregates millions of products from thousands of Bitcoin-enabled merchants. Keep your money in the free economy. Visit spendabit.co today. Bitcoin merchants, ask about our merchant suite to reach even more customers. Spendabit.co. Reuters reports AT&T Incorporated's proposed $85 billion takeover of Time Warner generated skepticism among both Democrats and Republicans on Sunday, making it more likely that regulators will closely scrutinize the efforts to create a new telecommunications and media giant. The biggest deal of the year, announced just over 2 weeks before the November 8th U.S. election, is a gamble on a victory for Democratic presidential candidate Hillary Clinton and a continuation of the status quo on antitrust and regulatory enforcement. The Republican candidate, Donald Trump, who is trailing Clinton in the polls, has said he would block the takeover. The billionaire businessman has railed against the media's role in what he described as a rigged election, and he believes the acquisition of Time Warner, which owns CNN and Warner Brothers, Hollywood's largest film and television studio, would concentrate too much power in one organization. Clinton, who has expressed misgivings about other corporate media mergers, has not yet commented on this takeover. But Senator Bernie Sanders, Clinton's former rival for the Democratic Party's nomination, said on Twitter that the administration should kill the Time Warner takeover because it would mean higher prices and fewer choices for consumers. The comments by Sanders carry weight because Clinton needs his coalition of young left-leaning voters to propel her to the presidency. The Senate Subcommittee on Antitrust will hold a hearing on the acquisition sometime in November. This has been FPP Radio News, online at fppradio.com.
It's The Onion Radio News. The nation's last remaining themeless restaurant has closed. This is Doyle Redland reporting. A once vibrant era came to an end today when Pat's Place, the nation's last themeless restaurant, closed its doors in Cedar Rapids, Iowa. During the heyday of themeless restaurants, Pat's Place achieved a certain amount of notoriety for its unique non-themed food items and unadorned atmosphere. But according to owner Patrick Baines, the times have changed.
Lately, we've had only a handful of people coming in to gawk at our posterless walls and mundanely named menu items like hamburgers or pancakes, and then they go someplace like the Rainforest Cafe or Johnny Rockets to actually eat.
Plans are now in the works to convert the Pat's Place location into Cedar Rapids' 7th Patty-O Touchdown sports bar and good time internet grill. Doyle Redland for the Onion Radio News, online at theonion.com.
This is the Onion News Network.
Free Talk Live.
It's Free Talk Live. Dial on in here, toll free, 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. With you in the studio tonight, it's Ian,
Melanie,
and Mark.
Of course, you can join us online. Just drop on by freetalklive.com and enjoy the features that we have waiting for you on the website. Stuff to talk about tonight. We always bring things to the table. On the way, the very first Blue Lives Matter arrest in New Orleans, Louisiana, which is where you're originally from, Louisiana, that is, Melanie. So you'll be sharing that with us a little bit later. But first, I mentioned Venezuela last night more than once, and we never got to it. I always like to make sure we get eventually to the things that we say we're going to as much as we can.
It's called paying the T's in the business.
Yeah. So there's pretty big news out of Venezuela within the last week. Headline from U.S. News and World Report: Venezuela on the brink of chaos. The story from the AP: Venezuela is bracing for turbulence after the socialist government has blocked a presidential recall referendum in a move opposition leaders are calling a coup. The opposition is urging...
It's pretty close.
Yeah. The opposition is urging supporters to take to the streets, beginning with a march on a major highway on Saturday, led by the wives of jailed activists, while a leading government figure is calling for the arrest of those high-profile government critics. Polls suggest socialist President Nicolas Maduro would lose this recall vote were it actually put forward. But that became a moot issue on Thursday when elections officials issued an order suspending a recall signature drive a week before it was to start. And if you recall, they had already collected, I think, 1.8 million signatures to put this recall forward. I guess now they've got to collect even more signatures. I'm not sure exactly how that process works.
It sounds like they have to collect some signatures to be able to do the recall, and then they have to collect more to be successful in the recall. So it's more than a vote. Getting a signature on some kind of petition is more than a vote.
According to the story here, the former presidential candidate Enrique Capriles, who again lost to Maduro the last time around, said what we saw was a coup yesterday. We'll remain peaceful, he says, but will not be taken for fools. We must defend our country. Unquote.
Sounds like your country voted for Maduro the first go-around, and this is what happens. You get the government you deserve. When you think you're going to get a bunch of crap for free, and that's what socialism is, taking stuff from the rich people, giving it to the poor people, ultimately that's what they want. When you think you're going to get a bunch of stuff for free, you're going to get the results, because ultimately, sooner or later, they run out of other people's money. Socialism doesn't work as a financial system. Yep, there are countries that have socialist aspects. Specifically, people always talk about Northern Europe, but the United States has socialist aspects too.
Well, any government by definition has at least one socialist aspect. Otherwise, it's not a government.
Yep.
The socialists won power nearly 2 decades ago with the election of popular former President Hugo Chavez, and for years enjoyed easy election victories. But with the economy in free fall, polls show most Venezuelans have turned against the party, and over the years the administration has gradually become increasingly autocratic. Critical television stations have been closed down, and several leading opposition activists have been imprisoned. The country's Supreme Court, packed with government supporters, of course,
has endorsed decree powers for Maduro and said he can ignore Congress following a landslide victory for the opposition in legislative elections. So that was late last year when their Congress or Assembly or whatever it was called, they had their elections and the opposition party took Congress. There were some challenges to those seats, and ultimately the Supreme Court ruled in favor of the status quo. They ruled in favor of the socialist, the socialist dictatorship, basically at this point, and then later gave him these emergency powers that came, I think, in the springtime of this year. The Election Commission, which has issued a string of pro-government rulings, halted the recall process on grounds of alleged irregularities in a first round of signature gathering.
That's what they're always going to say.
Polls suggest 80% of voters wanted Maduro gone this year, and the Electoral Council on Tuesday also ordered a delay of about 6 months in gubernatorial elections that were slated for the year-end, which the opposition was heavily favored to win. They gave no reason for the delay, so they're just waving their magic wand and saying that, well, these elections that were going to happen here, we're just going to have them 6 months later. And also, I remember reading about the recall petition. If they could delay, and they are now, and we expected they were going to do this likely, if they can delay this recall petition until 2017, then certain rules kick in that basically mean that even if Maduro loses the recall, which it looks like he will,
He completes his term.
that no, he wouldn't complete his term, but his second in command.
Oh, I see.
I forget the guy's name, but
That's right.
Essentially the Maduro of Hugo Chavez, because Maduro was Chavez's right-hand man,
Yeah.
and now his right-hand man would take over for him. So essentially nothing would truly change with the recall petition if they delay till 2017. If they
I
got
wonder
it
what
this
these
year,
people are thinking, though. Are
Which
they thinking
people?
if we just get another 6 months in office, we'll be able to turn this around? The revolution! We'll turn this around! You know, like that
Yeah,
kind
I
of...
don't know. It's a good question.
Yeah, what are they thinking?
Well, I mean, they might be thinking they're going to lose at least a lot of foreign opposition because people do tend to get bored with things. And then domestically, they might be thinking a lot of people will die between now and then, which
Could
is
be.
highly likely. Or it'll give them time to... I mean, why are we even assuming these elections are real? I don't know, but...
They must feel like they're real enough. I mean, otherwise they wouldn't be trying to put them off.
Not necessarily. People in power do weird things
Yeah, but
because they think it's going to...
It's not good for your legitimacy, is it? Like if all of a sudden the elections in the United States were postponed by a year, a lot of people might question that. They
Well,
might.
right, and you might not be able to pull that off in the States, but if you're
why is
doing
Venezuela
something...
different?
Because they have an entirely different society.
Okay, but they still know that their government's corrupt.
Right, and it's still bad. It still doesn't look good for them, but if they have procedures to delay elections, we don't have that, at least for the presidential election. So it's not as illegitimate for them to do that if they have that actual process. And I'm not saying that I know for a fact that these elections are fake, because I don't. I just don't assume offhand that any elections are real.
Sure. Yeah.
And if you're committing like a lot of the time what people do to look like they're being honest is they're doing something really bad and they admit to something bad so that nobody looks
Deflect
further
from
than
the-
that.
yeah, okay.
Yeah. So that is a pretty basic strategy that I think governments employ all the time. I mean, if you go on the CDC website, they admit to maybe not treating people for syphilis, but they don't admit to what they actually did, which was to give people syphilis.
Right.
Which is bad enough, and I still link to that, but that kind of a deal.
So we'll get to more of the story about what's happening in Venezuela, but first we go to the phones, to the fun, actually in this case to Skype, where Michael Dean is on the line. He is one of the Freedom Fiends. Go ahead.
Can you hear me? Over.
Loud and clear.
Excellent. I want to talk about Bipcoin, not Bitcoin. BIP, B-I-P, Bravo, India, Papa, Coin.
Wasn't this the cryptocurrency that you launched? That then died, but then came back to life or something like that?
Yes, we killed it. And actually, I'm not hiding that. I'm not downplaying that. I'm upplaying that. Because
is Bitcoin the Jesus of cryptocurrencies?
Is it? It is the Lazarus, at least, if not the Jesus. I wouldn't I wouldn't say. I think I am Bipcoin Jesus, and I gathered new apostles who had much bigger talents and were more committed, and they put their hands on it and rose the Lazarus of Bipcoin from the dead. Now, here's the thing.
Okay.
The fact that we couldn't kill it is why we came back. So we launched this thing a couple months ago. It's based on CryptoNote, which is the code base that Monero is based on that has the built-in mixer, coin mixer. So it's anonymous. It's anonymous if enough people are using it, basically. So I'm inviting enough people to come use it and mine it and go to Bipcoin.
All right. So everybody's got their own altcoin these days. So I want to know why anyone should care about this, Michael Dean. You're going to have to hang on.
You got it.
We'll talk about that because we've heard a billion of these pitches. Well, not a billion of them, but we've heard enough to be tired of it. The toll-free number is 855-450-FREE, 855-450-3733. I mean, we've got Monero. What do we need this for? This is Free Talk Live.
Warning. If you're drowning in debt you can't afford, do not let the credit card companies trick you into thinking that you have to pay it all back, because you don't. What the credit card companies don't want you to know is that there's actually a way to get debt-free without paying off your entire debt or going bankrupt. If you have $5,000 or more in credit card debt, you now have the right to settle that debt for a fraction of what you owe. For free information, call Credit Associates now. 1-800-959-5928. We'll even show you how much money you could save. If you can't afford to pay off all your debt, do not let the credit card companies trick you into thinking that you have to. Call Credit Associates now for free information on how to get debt-free faster than you ever thought possible without debt consolidation or bankruptcy. We depend on your success and offer a guarantee, so there's no risk. For free information, call now. 1-800-959-5928. That's 1-800-959-5928. 1-800-959-5928.
Have you checked your Google search results lately? Search results are usually the first impression that people form of you or your business, so make sure that they create a positive impression with ReputationDefender.com. What the internet says about you can have a big impact on your life and your livelihood, even if it's not true. Fortunately, you can now control how you look online and in online search results with ReputationDefender.com. Call 800-831-0771 now. That's 800-831-0771 for your free reputation analysis. If you have negative material from an ex-employee, upset patient, or former client, newspaper article, legal issue, social media, or other source showing up in your search results, you can combat it with ReputationDefender.com. Our dedicated experts in patented technology can help make your online search results look their best. Call 800-831-0771 to learn more. 800-831-0771. That's 800-831-0771. Or visit ReputationDefender.com.
Understanding your credit score is the first step towards managing and improving it. This is Charlie Sundstrom with your Van Dyke Mortgage Minute. The most influential component of your credit score is your payment history. Almost equally as important is the amount you owe on credit accounts. Also impacting your score, but to a lesser degree, are the length of time you've utilized your credit, the number of new accounts, credit inquiries, and your various types of credit accounts. To help achieve or maintain a healthy credit score, have a system set up to assure your bills are always paid on time. Don't max out your cards. It's better to have a high credit limit with a low balance. Never close old accounts. The age of these can actually help your credit score. But don't be afraid to use your credit. You need several accounts in order to have a credit score. Just keep the corresponding payments within your means. For your mortgage pre-approval and refi needs, start by visiting VanDykeMortgage.com.
Corporate NMLS 3035. Van Dyke Mortgage is an equal housing lender. Charlie Sundstrom, NMLS 134251.
Did you know you can watch Free Talk Live during our live show 7 days a week from 7 to 10 p.m. Eastern via our studio cams at cam.freetalklive.com? Plus, you can chat with other listeners while you watch, all totally free. Now that our live video stream is hosted by YouTube, our video archives will be online even faster. So be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Listen, watch, and chat all free at cam.freetalklive.com. That's cam.freetalklive.com. Has this election season gotten you excited about the Libertarian Party? Has it gotten you mad? Do you want to see more candidates like Gary Johnson? Or do you want to see hardline libertarians? Either way, you don't have to sit on the sidelines and complain. You can make a difference by getting involved. Free Talk Live has, believe it or not, negotiated a free membership for you in the Libertarian Party at lp.org/FTL. This is a limited time offer, so go sign up for your free membership now at lp.org/FTL.
If you enjoy LRN.FM, please contribute to your favorite shows via their websites and become an amplifier at amp.lrn.fm. That's amp.lrn.fm.
This is Free Talk Live. You can bring up what you want, dial in toll free, and take control of the airwaves here. Our number is 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. Was the Venezuela, the latest situation there, a coup? Some people are saying it is. We'll tell you more about that coming up here in moments. It's Ian, Melanie, and Mark with you. And we all know the power of a good T-shirt to catch people's attention and possibly start a conversation. Now, if you're a fan of Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies, you ought to check out store.bitcoin.com. Now, I don't believe they're carrying the Bipcoin shirts, but they do have Bitcoin shirts. That's B-I-T, Bitcoin shirts. You're showing a Team Edwards shirt for some reason, Mark, but I don't know if that's available.
It's not, but I'm showing it to the cam anyway. It's the power of a good T-shirt shows that, in this case, I'm a supporter of Edward Snowden.
Yes. I'm sure that the people who are behind the Bitcoin store are also supporters of Edward Snowden.
That they are.
But I don't think any Snowden shirts are there. But there are some cool things like Bitcoin coffee mugs, Bitcoin keychains, Bitcoin shirts, as well as the very cool Bitcoin Accepted Here stickers. So if you have a brick-and-mortar business, or even if you just want to slap it on the back of your laptop, you can have a Bitcoin Accepted Here sticker as well. And you can, of course, pay for them with Bitcoin. Store.bitcoin.com. Go there and get some cool stuff that is Bitcoin related. That's store.bitcoin.com. Now we go back to Michael W. Dean, the host and the creator of the Freedom Fiends, which is the only other really syndicated talk show of a liberty-minded persuasion out there in the business for the most part. So welcome back to Free Talk Live. Now you're here pitching us Bipcoin, which is your competitor to Bitcoin and all the other zillions of altcoins.
No. I don't look at altcoins as competitors, but there really aren't many altcoins, if any, until maybe a little bit with Monero, that have actually been used, not just had value from speculation, but actually from commerce. And, Monero had a big jump like 2 months ago from $1 to $17 a coin.
It's now down to $6.43.
I know. I'll explain that because it connects to Bipcoin at bipcoin.org. First of all, the reason that people should be interested in this is you can still mine it. It's 2 months old. The difficulty's not that high. You can pool mine it. We have 2 pools and two explorers. And I'm not really pitching it. Like, I don't even have a lot of this. We did a tiny pre-mine. We gave a lot of it away. I mean, like a tiny, like a fraction, like tiny fraction, 1%. And we gave it away to developers mostly. So I'm not like, yeah, pump it up. I'm in this for the ride. You know me. I get into things and ride them forever because that's what I do. It's a liberty thing.
Okay, but why? Like, what's the point? Is it just you're doing it for fun? Hey, we made our own cryptocurrency?
No. I mean, it is fun. It's got cats, Cats are fun. And the default port is 18870, which is the first 5 numbers of Ross Ulbricht's prisoner number. I think if Ross Ulbricht had crypto note coins, we would have no idea who he is, and that'd be a good thing.
I don't think they caught Ross from his Bitcoin transactions.
Yeah, what is the theory on that? What's the current theory?
They infiltrated the server. I mean, there's no theory here. I mean, this is what happened. They infiltrated the Silk Road. Now we're shifting gears. Listeners, Silk Road was the underground drug marketplace, the very first darknet market. Ross Ulbricht was the creator of that website, and he's now spending his life in prison for running a website, basically. What happened was there was one of the administrators who got taken down, and I forget the reason or what happened with that. I forget what led them to this character in the first place. But they managed to bust one of the administrators of the Silk Road, and they silently replaced him. So they replaced him. Okay. His account then was taken over by the FBI, and their agent, or DEA, or whoever it was, one of the federal agencies, was operating that account. And their agent was then a man on the inside at that point, and he had a back-end access to the website and was able to gather more information than otherwise they would have been able to gather. and they used that access as they sort of did more and more research on the Silk Road. They ended up finding old posts from Ross Ulbricht a long time ago on one of his known kind of email addresses.
He used his real email address.
Yeah.
That's the problem with having multiple personalities online. It's, they say that thing about like, the more lies you tell, the thicker the web becomes. That's an old saying.
Well, what he did was it would have been one thing had he been using his own email address later on just as some unwitting person who's promoting this great website, but he was promoting it before it really started. And so they traced back and they found those message board posts, and they saw that his email was associated with it. They then used the back-end access to the website that they had, where they could see who was logging in and how they were logging in and details about that. So they knew when Dread Pirate Roberts, who they determined later was Ross Ulbricht, they knew when he was logging in, and they ultimately, I think he got lazy at one point and didn't log in via like a VPN. And was
that happens too.
And was just logging in direct connection to his server, sort of through the back end. And so they found, here's he's at this coffee shop or whatever in San Francisco or the San Francisco Library.
Well,
and
I think the first piece of advice,
they set up surveillance further, and then they observed him going to his parents' house. He went into his parents' house, and then they saw Dread Pirate Roberts come online, and then when they saw Dread Pirate Roberts come offline, he left his parents' house, and at the same time they saw a Tor connection go live on his parents' internet connection. So they used a lot of this stuff to figure him out.
Don't stay in the United States if you're going to do something like this.
That's good advice.
First of all, I love Ross Ulbricht. I'm a huge supporter. Secondly, Bipcoin, we are not saying it's for any particular purpose, other than people who think that what you do with your money is, that ain't none of their business. And what Ross Ulbricht did is none of my business. But the other reason that people should do this, and you know what you really said, the whole thing about Ross Ulbricht, not that he committed a crime, but to use the old vernacular, he wasn't caught by some kind of cyber sleuthing, super, nerd stuff. He was caught by what they call good old fashioned police work back in the day.
Yeah. He committed a crime. He just didn't do anything wrong.
Well, he committed. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I'm just making it clear for the people in the cheap seats,
Well, I mean, they did detective work, but they also did cyber sleuthing work. I mean, it was a combination of both.
Barely.
And
it's not like Hexor stuff, though.
Right.
There wasn't any. I'll be in their mainframe in just a second, Jimmy.
Yes.
It wasn't any of that.
No, not like that.
It's just
if
looking
you're
around.
gonna run the dark web, you need a special email address for that. I actually used the wrong email address the other day. I have a regular email address, and then I have like a voluntarist email address, but it was okay because I was sending it to a libertarian organization, so it was okay.
So you mean the from field was set to the voluntarist?
I used my wrong email address. Yeah.
So Michael,
go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, okay, so you said it's crypto note based, which means it's similar to Monero, which is kind of the big crypto note. Monero, we've pointed out to our listeners, is different because crypto note, this thing, was created aside from Bitcoin, whereas a lot of these altcoins that are competing with Bitcoin were created from Bitcoin, where they just forked Bitcoin's code and made their own thing. Off of that. That's one of the things that makes Monero different. So Bipcoin, your thing, is more similar to Monero than anything else, correct?
Yes.
So why does the world need Bipcoin when we already have Monero? We'll let you get to that here in a moment if you can stick with us.
Thanks,
Michael
man.
Dean from Freedom Fiends. I don't know, man. I'm not convinced yet. We'll see what he's got up his sleeve. This is Free Talk Live.
Hunters, anglers, campers, and survivalists. Get back to nature. Expand your horizons with the highest quality, most versatile, unique slingshots and sling bows on the market at slingbow.com. Slingbow products are compact and models start from just $17.98. They're perfect for your bug out bag or storing in your vehicle. Give yourself and your loved ones the excitement and tradition of slingbow. A new frontier in archery and truly modern twist on this primitive survival tool. Feel the thrill only at slingbow.com.
Want to build a maintenance-free, low and slow charcoal briquette fire that burns for hours for free? MeatMastersRadio.com will show you how to build a low-temp charcoal fire that's guaranteed fiddle-proof. It's easy and free. MeatMastersRadio.com teaches charcoal barbecue skills on new topics every week. Go to MeatMastersRadio.com. That's MeatMastersRadio.com.
The Free State Project has reached its goal of 20,000 liberty lovers who've pledged to move to New Hampshire and get active to achieve liberty in our lifetime. Perhaps you're trying to figure out what part of New Hampshire should be your destination. If so, consider Keene. You'll find more than 150 reasons to move to Keene at move.freekeene.com. Keene is famous for its historic, publicity-generating activism, as well as being the liberty media capital of the world. It's home to freekeene.com, New Hampshire's destination for liberty activism, news, and opinion. For years, we've been compiling over 150 reasons to move to Keene at move.freekeene.com, where you'll learn about some of what's happening here and what makes Keene a great place to live. If you love liberty, you'll probably enjoy anywhere you end up in the Shire. But do your due diligence first. Please visit move.freekeene.com for the full list of over 150 reasons to move to Keene. That's move.freekeene.com.
This is your Roberts & Roberts Brokerage Daily Precious Metals Update. In early trading Monday, gold is $4 higher at $1,271 per ounce, and silver is 32 cents higher at $17.88 per ounce. Bitcoin is currently trading at $650 US. Roberts & Roberts Brokerage has been helping clients buying and selling precious metals for nearly 40 years. For more information, call Roberts & Roberts Brokerage at 800-874-9760 or visit us online at rrbi.co.
For years, LRN.FM has had a listen line that you can call and listen to LRN.FM anytime. Now we're taking the idea to a new level with the LRN.FM audio on-demand line. You can call 641-793-9660 anytime and listen to LRN.FM's live feed, and you can listen to a bunch of our original shows on demand. Long-distance fees may apply. Just dial 641-793-9660 and choose from the menu. 641-793-9660.
This is Michael Dean from the Freedom Feens radio show. I've run websites since 1996 and have used over a dozen web hosts in that time. AgoristHosting.com is the only one that hasn't broken my heart. Agorist Hosting's uptime and service is stellar, and their DDoS mitigation is the best I've seen. That's important because if you tell the truth in this world, you'll ruffle feathers, and some people will try dirty tricks to silence your voice. No matter what the haters hit us with, Agorist Hosting keeps our websites online. If you have a mission-critical commercial presence or a world-changing activism site, you cannot tolerate any tomfoolery. So go with AgoristHosting.com. And if you want to get your foot in the door with decentralized marketplaces, Agorist Hosting is now offering Open Bazaar hosting. Go to agoristhosting.com, click on the button that says Get Hosted. Agorist Hosting, that's AGORIST hosting.com.
You're listening to the best liberty-oriented audio streamed around the clock, on the air, and online. This is the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
It is Free Talk Live. You can dial in toll-free here. You can bring up anything that you want. Our number is 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. With you tonight, it's Ian.
Melanie.
And Mark.
Also, we're discussing Bitcoin and one of its, well, he doesn't say it's a competitor, but, you know, I'm sorry, I still see all these altcoins as competitors to Bitcoin to some extent.
Well, competition
and it's
isn't
okay.
bad.
Yeah, I'm fine with competition. It's bringing new features to cryptocurrencies, and you know it encourages people to upgrade and make things better over time. I'm fine with that. But you know, to pretend like it's not competing, I mean, it may not be a very big competitor, but it still is competing for people's ear time and their brain time and their dollars.
Well, let's see what he has to say.
We'll get back into that, but first I want to let you know about BitcoinUnlimited.info. There's unfortunately competition in between the Bitcoin universe, like within Bitcoin, between the programmers who are running Bitcoin, who are putting it together, who are making the changes to hopefully improve it on into the future. They've kind of been at an impasse for a couple years now, 2 or 3 years, where they've been arguing and debating over this thing called the block size. There are some people who do not want this block size to increase, which basically would, some would say, hold back the growth of Bitcoin, hold back its ability to really scale up and be a serious competitor to like Visa and MasterCard. And so they're the people that support the increased block size and those who oppose it. Those who support it have put forth a new Bitcoin client called Bitcoin Unlimited. It's supported by Roger Ver, who's also known as Bitcoin Jesus. And Roger points out that Via BTC, which is the 5th largest Bitcoin miner in the world, has recently switched exclusively to Bitcoin Unlimited. After that, Bitcoin prices spiked 5%. Was that a coincidence? Well, a lot of observers don't think so. Bitcoin shouldn't be held back by a few, and you can learn more at bitcoinunlimited.info. I replaced the Bitcoin Core client on the LRN.FM studio machine with Bitcoin Unlimited because I support the idea of larger block sizes and Bitcoin's continued growth. So check it out, bitcoinunlimited.info, as we go back to Michael W. Dean, he's telling us about the Bipcoin, BIPCOIN.org is the site.
Yeah.
And you've explained to us that it's very similar to Monero in that it is based on the same crypto note technology. It is not a Bitcoin knockoff. It is, Monero was created from scratch, basically, as I understand it. So it's a completely different cryptocurrency, which is cool. But why do we need Bipcoin if we've already got Monero?
Because a couple of reasons. One is because, like I said, you can mine it now, and I'm not, I guess I'm saying
Monero.
Get in now at the ground. You can't really mine Monero, but put it this way: in the amount of time it took me to mine in the hash power and time it took me to mine 1.5 Monero, you can mine like 900 Bipcoin.
Yeah, but what's a Bipcoin worth?
What's it going to be worth in a year? I remember how much was okay, first of all, you are an altcoin hater.
No, I'm not. I have altcoins.
What altcoins do you like?
I have altcoins. I've got Ether, and I got a little bit of Dash and a little bit of Monero.
But Ian's skeptical, and he wants to know, like, when.
Yeah, I know.
He wants it to be real now. Selling Ian a dream, very difficult.
No, just explain to me why it's better.
Explain to me. You've been selling a dream for years.
Explain to me why it's better. Yeah, I can explain why New Hampshire is a better place to be. Why is Bipcoin better than Monero?
How much was Bitcoin when you first bought it and turned
I never
Bitcoin
actually bought
Jesus onto it?
That's
I
didn't have the vision
Jesus.
for
you
it.
Turned him onto it.
Right. I didn't have the vision for
it, and he's worth $50 million because of you.
No, I caught the vision when Bitcoin got accepted by the darknet marketplaces and it really kind of got into the news. I said, "Wow, this thing is pretty awesome." But I'm just not the investor type, so I didn't think, "Oh, I should go out and buy a bunch of it." Even though I realized how valuable it really was and such a cool idea, I didn't go out and do anything about it. Thankfully, Roger Ver bought some ads with us with Bitcoin. We accepted that. And that has worked out pretty well for us. But, you got to pitch people on why this is a better idea than Monero, or at the very least, has a chance to succeed. What makes it special? What makes it different?
I love Monero.
Yeah.
First of all, cryptocurrencies make up like 1.5% of all altcoins.
How many are there? How many crypto?
There's like a dozen, and there's like 850 altogether.
What's like the number 2 crypto note compared to Monero?
Bitcoin.
Bitcoin?
Yeah.
Okay.
And it's in the top, I don't have it in front of me, but like top 20 or 30 market share out of, I think it's up there. It's traded and it's used and it's on people use it.
See, normally when somebody creates an alternative to Bitcoin, they tweak it in some way where they say, "We are like Bitcoin, but this," and then they'll have some feature that supposedly makes their thing special.
First of all, we're like Monero, but we have cats.
You have cats. That's it. Okay, so the cats.
Well, I thought it was more anonymous too, because Bitcoin
more anonymous
really
than Monero.
Than Bitcoin.
No. Okay, yes, it is. Bipcoin, Monero, all these crypto note things are anonymous currencies.
Bitcoin's really not.
Bipcoin. I'm sorry if I didn't say it clearly. Bitcoin. That we're talking about his coins. This is one of the confusions, which may actually be the brilliance.
Years of your life saying Bipcoin or Bitcoin. You're going to have to.
That may be one of the brilliances of Bipcoin is that you might just get a bunch of people mistyping Bitcoin, or maybe no.
We actually haven't. No, and that's not why we did it. it's actually named after the Bipcot no government license.
Yes.
Right.
Which it has, which Monero doesn't.
Okay, that's one other thing then. So cats
Bitcoin
and the no
is
government
not
license.
Government use.
And
government
you can
not
mine it.
allowed. Go away. And you can mine it.
You can mine
the other
Monero
thing
too.
is our attitude.
That's hold on just a second.
I have mined Monero. I know you can.
The point that he's trying to make is that you can mine a quantity of it, that you can have some success.
Yeah.
As
Yeah,
opposed
sure.
to turning your computer onto Monero, where a lot of people have their computers on there. So
Gotcha.
he's pitching
Right.
the idea that you can get into the ground floor.
Yep. And also miners help a coin. I'm trying to get more miners. I'll say that right now. Miners are good for a coin.
Mm-hmm.
But, this is the ground floor. I don't like using the word ground floor. It sounds scammy, but it's so mineable. It's as mineable as back when Roger Ver was going, what are all these things? Wow. Okay. Well,
but can you even trade it anywhere? Can you actually go on a marketplace?
For Freedom Fiends buttons and merch and stickers. I've solved the pizza problem that Bitcoin had until someone sold pizza. Go to the Bitcoin website, bitcoin.org.
And has that happened?
Bitcoin,
have there been people who...
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
A couple dozen. And
Cool.
I will sell you, I'll take money out of my pocket to pay for the shipping now to send you Freedom Fiends merch. Okay, the other thing I've been trying to get to for 10 minutes.
Oh, you had something
other
else.
advantage
Okay.
Is well, it's also the team. It's got Derek Slopey, who
He's
everyone
awesome.
in Liberty loves.
That guy's great.
And so before when we launched it, we basically had one guy more or less, and he's a great guy and a great programmer, but he didn't understand cryptocurrencies to begin with. Derek's been mining Bitcoin since he could do it on a Raspberry Pi, but the he left because he was like, I'm like, hey, we're having a lot of errors. People aren't able to transact, and he's like, I can get to it in 2 weeks, and I'm like, people are dying. So now I've got a team of 4 people. Now I've got a team of 4 people.
Wow.
One is SLB, who is like the fork note guy. He's very respected in the crypto note community. One is this Greek dude who's great, named Makis, who he loves cryptocurrencies, but also he's in Greece, where they're popular.
They
there.
need
I want
cryptocurrencies in Greece. Real
Greek
bad.
coin.
Yeah. Hey,
The other-
speaking
and-
of dying, weren't you dying up until recently? Didn't you just beat cancer? Congratulations. I thought I heard that
I
somewhere.
didn't beat
Are you still
cancer.
alive,
I had
Michael
a
W.D.?
cancer scare. Yeah. Isn't that the running joke in that movie about the junkies from Wales, Train Spotting? Iggy Pop, is he still alive? I thought he died. But no, Bipcoin Jesus is getting better. I was nearly dead a year ago, but I'm on oxygen at night. But anyway, the other advantage is we're going to have a GUI wallet within 2 weeks. Monero's like, GUI wallets are for scam coins.
Now, if you
They
can
don't
beat
care
out
about-
if you can beat Monero to the punch with a graphical user interface wallet, that could be a big thing for
We have
Bitcoin.
one. Just have to update it.
All right, cool, man. Hey, thanks for the pitch on that tonight, Michael. I appreciate it. The toll-free number here is 855-450-FREE. You can join us on Free Talk Live. You've said it yourself. We need a healthcare system that focuses on health, not sickness. Health insurance pays for treating sickness but gives you nothing for being healthy. There's a free market healthcare company that gives you freedom from health insurance. They give you a proactive health assessment daily, no charge 24-hour access to doctors. Check them out right now at healthexcellenceselect.com. Any kind of doctor, traditional, integrative, chiropractic, acupuncture, and massage. You'll love the service and price. healthexcellenceselect.com. healthexcellenceselect.com.
If you had one day to teach someone economics, what would you say? We would say that innovation and prosperity requires economic freedom. Visit fee.org/courses and check out Economics in One Day, a crash course in free market economics that you can present to your community. For over 70 years, the Foundation for Economic Education has been a champion of liberty. Start today at no charge by visiting fee.org/courses and learn why economic freedom matters.
Offer not valid in all states or where prohibited by law. See website for details.
Need some extra cash today? Do you have bad credit or maxed out credit cards? If so, turn your radio up. 45cash.com is one of the nation's largest personal loan networks with over 50 different lenders. Now you can get a personal loan for up to $5,000 with any type of credit discreetly from your computer or smartphone and with no paperwork to send in. That's right, no paperwork whatsoever. Your cash will hit your bank account as soon as tomorrow as our lenders have millions of dollars to lend regardless regardless of your credit history. Visit 45cash.com and you can have up to $5,000 in no time. Just have a checking account and a regular source of income, and you can get the loan you need now, regardless of your credit. Go to 45cash.com from your smartphone or computer to get the cash you need. Visit 45cash.com. Type www.45cash.com directly into the address bar. That's 45cash.com. 45cash.com.
Attention CPAP users. Stop the insanity and torture of your CPAP mask. Don't you hate the skin irritation and terrible leaks? Jump on the CPAP Pro train, invented by an actual CPAP user that became so frustrated with CPAP masks. Are you ready to try something new? With absolutely no straps or headgear? Go to nomask.com and get the best night's sleep ever. Free to Medicare patients. Go to nomask.com. That's NOMASK.com.
If your home has hard water, then it's likely that limescale is clogging your pipes, damaging your appliances, costing you hundreds of dollars each year. You can eliminate limescale in the entire house with HydroCare products available at Wave Home Solutions. Easy and efficient with no maintenance, no salts, no chemicals, and no coils. And you can buy with confidence from Wave Home Solutions. Performance guaranteed. Just go to bestwater411.com. That's bestwater411.com.
The three most important things you can do for Free Talk Live are: 1, share one episode a week on Facebook or in some other social networking site. 2, buy the things you buy online through shop.freetalklive.com. 3, give $5 a month to the AMP program. You likely buy all kinds of things online. Amazon is the largest online retailer. You can get what you need at the same prices with free Super Saver shipping by going to shop.freetalklive.com. Please do your online shopping at shop.freetalklive.com.
My name is Jacob Hornberger. I'm president of the Future of Freedom Foundation, which Congressman Ron Paul awarded for having an outstanding freedom website. Write us at fff@fff.org, and we'll send you a free 3-month subscription to our monthly journal of libertarian essays and our booklet, Economic Liberty in the Constitution, which George Mason University economics professor Walter Williams praised in a recent column. That's fff@fff.org.
While our satellite channel is free to listen to, it's not free for us. You can help us cover our satellite costs with the chip-in on the right side of the page at lrn.fm.
This is Free Talk Live, and you can dial toll-free here. Our number is 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. It's been a cryptocurrency-oriented hour here so far on Free Talk Live, so why don't we tell you a little bit more about Monero? We mentioned it in the last conversation with Michael W. Dean, who has a cryptocurrency that's similar to Monero, but without the popularity factor. Monero has hit it pretty big. It's in the top 10 of the world's cryptocurrencies at the moment. Shot up a few weeks ago, several weeks, I guess, at this point, after a couple of darknet marketplaces started to accept Monero. So, meaning that if you were to go onto a darknet market, you can pay with Monero on some of them instead of Bitcoin. It used to be just Bitcoin only. Now they're accepting Bitcoin and Monero, and that's kind of an endorsement that the darknet marketplaces believe in this currency. Now, not all darknet markets are using Monero. It was only 2 of them, I believe, and of the 2, it is believed that one of the 2 exit scammed, which means that they put their market online, got business rolling, various transactions were happening there, and they were making money off of it, and then they just left. They just closed up shop and took a bunch of people's money, whatever was stored on their servers with them.
Why would you do it when you're making money?
Because I agree with you, Mark. That it makes sense from your perspective as a business person who is out there. It doesn't make any sense to just put a business together and then scuttle it. But in the darknet marketplace, it makes some level of sense, because the longer you're in business, the more investigated you're going to be by the various different governments of the world.
Okay.
And so if you can get in, run this thing for a year, and make however much percentage, 3-4% per transaction, you're rolling in dough there for that first year, presuming you have some level of popularity. And then people start to trust the website. They're getting sloppy. They keep a balance on the site. So you have like a Bitcoin wallet on the site itself, and then people have to load that Bitcoin wallet in order to buy the things that are on the site. Well, for the time that Bitcoin is in that wallet, which if you've got thousands or hundreds of thousands of users, you're going to, in the aggregate, have quite a few Bitcoin likely in total between all of those users at any given moment. If you shut the server down at that point, you get to walk away with all of that Bitcoin, and they have no idea who you are because it's an anonymous market.
When you want to retire in the white market, you sell the business if it's not a entirely personal service business.
Right.
I'm not sure how easy that is to do in the black market, or especially the dark web. I don't really have any experience with that, but I imagine it would be really difficult for the site to maintain any value while you're putting it on the marketplace. Because the value of the site, I'm imagining, is your reputation. And you can't really sell it. You can't market that you're selling it without losing that value, because now people know you're selling it.
You could quietly market it to trusted parties that you somehow have trusted through anonymous transactions, but it's just easier for these people to just cut the chain.
And I'm saying that might be a reason why they're doing that, because you can't do a traditional sale of a business,
right?
If you're looking to retire from that.
Right, and it's not okay. I'm not excusing
you're just explaining it.
What these people are doing. And in the history of the darknet marketplaces, there's only been one that I've ever known of that has ended its business in an honorable fashion.
And who was that?
So either they were taken down by the feds, and that's why they closed their doors, or they exit scammed, as one of these ones did recently, where they just close the doors and walk away with everyone's Bitcoin. Or they actually shut down with some honor, which is what the Agora marketplace did a couple of years ago. They were the sort of the survivor after the big takedown of a bunch of these sites. Agora managed to stay online. They weren't taken down by the feds, and they announced at one point that they'd gotten some news that maybe something was happening out there that might be targeting them. They gave their site users 3 months, I think it was. Maybe I'm wrong. It was several weeks at least. A decent period of time where there was a notice posted on the site that we're closing down. We may or may not come back. So you have this amount of time to get your funds out of this website. And they shut down, and they've never come back. So whoever those people were exited in a honorable manner, and they presumably did pretty well, because they were open for a couple of years, and they allowed pretty much anything, with few exceptions, to be posted on the website. I think that all of the darknet markets should aspire to be as successful.
And the other thing is, and this is kind of me being paranoid, conspiracy theory again, but do we know that that's what really happened? Or it seems to me it would be a really good move on the Fed's part if they just get tired of busting people, don't feel like having to go through with the court cases, to take over the website and then make it look like an exit scam, as opposed to having to go through all the due process and everything like that.
Just to disincentivize people from using the darknet.
I see what you're saying. Right. So if people know that, I might get exit scammed from these darknet marketplaces, maybe they won't even sign up in the first place, is the idea?
Not necessarily to not sign up, because if you're just putting enough in there to buy, a pound of weed or
whatever,
a sheet of
who buys
acid
a pound
or whatever,
of weed?
I don't know. Then you might still do that, because it's not necessarily that high of a risk, but you're not going to really keep money in an account.
Correct.
If this is a normal thing.
Generally, you don't. It's pretty normal. It's normal enough to where you don't want to do that. And even if it isn't normal for the exit scam, it is also fairly normal for the feds to take these sites down. So whether it's an exit scam or the feds actually taking a site down, there's a high likelihood that at some point, if you've got a balance in one of these accounts, you're going to lose it. So it's like a cost of doing business, basically. I mean, if you are someone who is ordering a pound of weed, then you know that in the regular black marketplace, there's a chance someone could put a gun in your back or a knife, pull a knife on you and, literally rob you in the streets, possibly stab you or shoot you or beat you or whatever. And so you're never going to have that happen in the darknet marketplaces, because they're anonymous transactions where people are buying and selling various different types of drugs. So if you think about it from that perspective, just the fact that you're not going to die or get stabbed or shot is actually worth losing a few bucks every now and then in an exit scam.
It's much less risky than doing it in real life, but it just
By a factor of 10,
for
probably.
all but one company to have done this just doesn't seem right to me.
Well, I wouldn't even call them companies.
Yeah.
It's just somebody with a
Sorry,
programming.
Drugs are a nasty business, and it's because they're illegal. And that's just, you either want it or you don't. I'm with you. I don't want it badly enough. I'm just not interested. I'm not going to the bad side of town to buy a bag of weed. I'm
It's
not
the
going to do
equivalent
that.
of giving your dealer money up front, and then they go and they try to buy something somewhere else, and then they get ripped off, supposedly. They come back empty-handed, and they're like, sorry, I don't have your drugs. And, well, you took my money. That happens all the time in the black marketplace.
Happens all the time.
All the time. And of course, one of the rules is you shouldn't let your cash leave your hands until the product is in front of you. But most people are so desperate for their drugs, they are willing to let their cash leave their hands. And so,
in many cases, they'll send somebody to get something and then to let them take a cut. Hey, mark it up, whatever you want to mark it up, and they do.
So, I mentioned Monero earlier. If you'd like to learn more about this new anonymous cryptocurrency, I mean, new-ish, it's like new within the last couple of years, you can go to getmonero.org to learn more, get the wallet. And by the way, we are expecting the Jax wallet to incorporate Monero. Hopefully, I don't know, I'm hoping by the end of the year, but they've announced that they are intending to do this. And if they can do that, when they do that, that's going to be a big deal, because right now you really can't find a real user-friendly, secure Monero wallet. You can get the not-so-user-friendly secure Monero wallet. You can get the insecure web wallet, but there's no mix of those two. And Jax is going to make that happen, and I think that's going to be a major boost for Monero once that happens. So learn more about it. We're not telling you to buy it, but if you're into cryptocurrencies, you're into Bitcoin, you should check this one out. Take a look, decide for yourself. Go to getmonero.org. That's getmonero.org. Now, whether it's the cryptocurrency universe, the darknet marketplaces, which I think are on their own just an absolutely fascinating study in sort of society and business, and how these darknet markets have really revolutionized or evolutionized the darknet, or the underground rather, the black marketplace. They've been an incredible boon to the black market, and I would say have even saved lives. Now, the government won't admit that, but I think that there's a lot of evidence that you can't really show. Like, there's a lot of the fact is, if you are not buying drugs in the streets, you're going to save lives simply because people aren't going to get shot to death in drug deals gone bad.
Right, and the bystanders too. Like, you don't even have to be a drug user if you just live somewhere near where that happens a lot.
There could be bullets coming through your wall.
Or driving through somewhere on the way to, like, you don't even have to necessarily be in a bad neighborhood. You could just be in the wrong spot. You could have never done drugs in your life. And
it's happened.
A lot of these people can't aim.
People have had bullets piercing their walls and shooting babies in cribs in the wrong neighborhoods over drug deals.
Right.
Gone bad. So that's one thing that it has reduced violence on. It has also reduced overdose deaths, because the products that they sell on these darknet marketplaces are actually what they're being advertised as almost all the time. And so that helps save people's lives through harm reduction. 855-450-FREE. You can join us here. We'll get back to Venezuela coming up in hour 2.
The Blockchain Education Network has had a busy fall semester introducing, educating, and giving away Bitcoin. The initiative believes wholeheartedly that students should understand cryptocurrency and blockchain technology. Now the organization is ramping up its efforts to educate the academic masses, offering a bounty to students who help build a syllabus. The Blockchain Education Network has set aside a total of 4 Bitcoin to divide between students who add content. To learn more, go to news.bitcoin.com. That's news.bitcoin.com.
You've said it yourself. We need a healthcare system that focuses on health, not sickness. Health insurance pays for treating sickness but gives you nothing for being healthy. There's a free market healthcare company that gives you freedom from health insurance. They give you a proactive health assessment daily, no charge 24-hour access to doctors. Check them out right now at healthexcellenceselect.com. Any kind of doctor, traditional, integrative, chiropractic, acupuncture, and massage. You'll love the service and price. HealthExcellenceSelect.com. HealthExcellenceSelect.com.
Radio is the most personal of mediums. I exist right now in your head. If you listen to Free Talk Live regularly, you know me. Free Talk Live is on more than 160 radio stations around the U.S. and has been downloaded on every continent around the world. Hundreds of thousands of listeners with ad packages from $600 a month to $6,000 a month. Imagine what we can do for your business, project, website, or idea. Email me, mark@freetalklive.com.
If you want to know the latest about Free Talk Live before we go on the air, all you need to decide is how you want it delivered. It's your choice. Visit news.freetalklive.com. You can get emailed announcements and participate in contests via our email updates list. Plus, we have a Twitter account that you can follow and a Facebook page where you can become a fan. So visit news.freetalklive.com to get news about Free Talk Live as soon as it's announced and the way you want it delivered at news.freetalklive.com. That's news.freetalklive.com.
You're listening to the live edition of Free Talk Live. Hour number 2 is next after the news here on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
From Keene in the Shire, the Liberty Media capital of the world, this is Daryl W. Perry, host of FPP Radio News for Monday, October 24th, 2016. Silver is trading at $17.62 per ounce. Gold is valued at $1,265 per ounce. And according to BitcoinAverage.com, the average price of Bitcoin is $656. Antiwar.com reports the 72-hour ceasefire in Yemen expired over the weekend and fighting resumed almost immediately thereafter. Both sides spent virtually the whole ceasefire accusing the others of violations, though in practice the number of casualties plummeted during the truce and the capital of Sana'a was barely touched. Sana'a was immediately the target of the new rounds of airstrikes, with several attacks reported against both the city itself and the nearby port of Hodeidah. The Houthis launched attacks against pro-Saudi targets as well, with heavy artillery fire reported against the areas of Taiz, and Saudi officials reporting a pair of houses destroyed in the Jazan province. UN officials were working to try to secure another ceasefire or an extension of the existing one right up through its expiration, though in the end neither side has reported much interest, and indeed there was so much effort by both sides in blaming the other for shortcomings in the ceasefire that both seem at least a bit relieved that it's over. This 72-hour ceasefire was the result of calls by US and British officials and allowed for an influx of humanitarian aid. Exactly how much aid got in is unclear, but there were no peace talks or anything else, so the effort appears to have begun and ended with getting everyone a few days off from fighting and little aid delivered. For nearly 40 years, Roberts & Roberts Brokerage has been a trusted source for buying and selling precious metals like gold and silver. They also take Bitcoin for precious metal purchases and have permanently removed the minimum purchase amount for all orders paid in the digital currency. Call Roberts & Roberts today for knowledgeable advice on buying and selling precious metals and a forward-thinking approach to new technologies. 800-874-9760 or visit online at rrbi.co. UPI reports at least 13 people were killed after a tour bus and big rig collided on Interstate 10 Sunday morning in California. The Riverside County Coroner's Office confirmed the death toll to KNBC TV in Los Angeles. Also, 31 people were transported to 3 area hospitals, according to the California Highway Patrol. Desert Regional Medical Center, which was the valley's only trauma center, was treating 14 patients Sunday morning, including 5 in critical condition and 3 in serious condition. Stephanie Hamilton from the California Highway Patrol said the bus, belonging to USA Holiday, a Los Angeles-based tour company, may have been coming from Red Earth Casino near the Salton Sea. The driver, who was taken to the hospital for treatment, was identified as one of its owners, according to Hamilton. Hamilton said the Highway Patrol is bringing in its specialized unit that investigates major crashes and that the westbound lanes on I-10 would be closed for some time. Are you an advocate for free market money? Do you promote Bitcoin as an alternative in a fiat-centric world? Then you need Spend a Bit in your arsenal, the search engine for things you can buy with Bitcoin. Spend a Bit aggregates millions of products from thousands of Bitcoin-enabled merchants. Keep your money in the free economy. Visit spendabit.co today. Bitcoin merchants, ask about our merchant suite to reach even more customers. Spendabit.co. Reuters reports AT&T Incorporated's proposed $85 billion takeover of Time Warner generated skepticism among both Democrats and Republicans on Sunday, making it more likely that regulators will closely scrutinize the efforts to create a new telecommunications and media giant. The biggest deal of the year, announced just over 2 weeks before the November 8th U.S. election, is a gamble on a victory for Democratic presidential candidate Hillary Clinton and a continuation of the status quo on antitrust and regulatory enforcement. The Republican candidate, Donald Trump, who is trailing Clinton in the polls, has said he would block the takeover. The billionaire businessman has railed against the media's role in what he described as a rigged election, and he believes the acquisition of Time Warner, which owns CNN, and Warner Brothers, Hollywood's largest film and television studio, would concentrate too much power in one organization. Clinton, who has expressed misgivings about other corporate media mergers, has not yet commented on this takeover. But Senator Bernie Sanders, Clinton's former rival for the Democratic Party's nomination, said on Twitter that the administration should kill the Time Warner takeover because it would mean higher prices and fewer choices for consumers. The comments by Sanders carry weight because Clinton needs his coalition of young left-leaning voters to propel her to the presidency. The Senate Subcommittee on Antitrust will hold a hearing on the acquisition sometime in November. This has been FPP Radio News, online at fppradio.com.
Florida officials announced today its plan to experiment with new 600-lever voting machines.
The machine operates through a very straightforward process that we think is going to give Floridians the peace of mind that their votes will be counted. The voter turns on the machine using these 30 levers at the top and then enters their names and social security numbers using the alphanumeric levers near the bottom here. Right about now, the voter's going to have to find the two levers on the machine that are exactly identical and pull them at the same time. Then they're going to have to...
The new 22-foot-tall steam-powered machines, which officials are hailing as, quote, the future of voting, each feature over 45 separate panels of levers, along with an intricate series of valves, knobs, cranks, and pumps, all designed to streamline the electoral process.
Now, some of this may seem confusing, but every voter will be given a comprehensive 2,200-page manual when they enter their precinct that will explain exactly what to do.
This is the Onion News Network.
Free Talk Live.
It's Free Talk Live. Dial in toll free as we launch here into the second hour of the program. You can take control of the airwaves, bring up anything that's on your mind. With you in the studio tonight, it's me, Ian.
Melanie.
And Mark.
And also you can join us via Skype. Skype username is LRN.FM. Go to your phone calls here in just a moment. Also, the Venezuela story that we started about what some people are calling a coup in Venezuela, where the recall petition that had garnered, I think, like 1.8 million signatures earlier this year has officially been shelved, and that is causing a lot of upset. We'll tell you more about that coming up here in moments. Plus, corpses are exploding in Venezuelan hospitals because they're just so decrepit. First, though, to your calls and thoughts. Mike is listening in Oregon. You can take control of the airwaves. Go ahead, Mike. You're watching us on our cam at cam.freetalklive.com. Mike in Oregon.
So, oh my God, I just got out of a 2.5-hour long discussion with my friend. He's been through hotel renovation for a while now, and he's gone through a lot of crap.
Is he the owner of the hotel, or is he a contractor renovating the hotel?
No, he's I don't know exactly what his position, but he's kind of up there in management.
Okay.
And so anyways, he said, he had to have the city come in and check out the rooms to make sure they're all operational and stuff. And I tried explaining to him that, you shouldn't have to have the city come in and approve it. You should just be able to rent it out. And, he agrees on some of the things like, not having, something available, maybe like a TV or something like that. But we got into it about this, and he pretty much yelled for 2 hours at me saying that, we need these government regulations because they keep the consumer safe. And I really tried, guys, but it turned into a big shouting match.
Sure, that can happen.
I couldn't really get, and this is an ideal situation of Stockholm syndrome, and I know he's been through a lot of stuff, but I kept trying to tell him that I talked about AirBNB, and I tried to tell him that it's up to the consumer where they want to go, and he's saying that they should be regulated too, just like the hotel industry, because of safety standards. And I tried telling him, the market can do that. You don't need government, but it turned into a whole, the government's trying to, keep you safe, and you're not doing anything about it. To make a long story short, I really tried to get it through to him that the government regulations are actually making it harder for you to operate a business, not easier. And it what an ordeal I had today.
You're right. Is the first thing. Second thing is that this guy's in the hotel industry, and you're basically saying that Airbnb is a better model of taking care of people than his, than his business.
I don't know if he said that it was a better model.
That's what he's hearing. He's hearing that unregulated rooms are better than regulated rooms, and the only unregulated rooms he can think of is Airbnb. This is like saying to him, your ex-wife is probably happier with her new husband anyway, right? Like it's just this is a very difficult thing. He's lost business. He's lost money. Money has been taken out of his pocket, out of the mouths of his children by this new, innovative technology.
The money wasn't ever in his pocket.
Those people were going to stay somewhere.
Yeah.
Right? I mean,
it's money he could have, in theory, have made in the future.
That's how he feels.
If Airbnb didn't open up.
And if he wasn't regulated, then, you have economics of scale here, right? So if he wasn't regulated, then he would be able to compete better with a random guy who says, hey, I have an extra room, let me rent it to a stranger from the internet. There are people who still would stay at a hotel even if the price, and I'm one of those people, even if the price was lower, because I feel like it's safer if I have my own room with a key that locks.
Also, not only the safety aspect, but some people want to make sure they're in a cleaner place, and I would say the odds are you're going to get a cleaner hotel room, or at least apparently cleaner hotel room, because their standards are going to be higher likely than your average homeowner.
And there's not someone living in it all the time. You actually move everyone out and then clean it and then move someone else in.
But all that said, I wouldn't have brought up Airbnb in a conversation with a hotel owner. I think that's probably one of the reasons why it didn't go so well. But either way, you're right. This guy wants to protect his business, and he sees the government regulations as a protection racket that is benefiting him, even though he's paying through the nose for it.
Well, but without the regulations, he would be doing better, because there's no reason, absent regulations, to go to an Airbnb instead of a hotel. Because then the price would be lower, and you have all the other benefits.
Not necessarily. It's not necessarily true that the price would be lower. Yes, they do have the economy of scale, but a homeowner can rent their room for as low as they want to rent the room.
The room's there, and it's empty.
Right. So you don't have to have staff if you're the Airbnb person. You don't have to have maids and chefs and all the other things that they have in the hotel, the front desk, the lobby, the concierge, all these things that they have to foot the costs for. So I don't necessarily agree with you on that one. Go ahead, Mike.
Sure. So I was going to say, I see where he was coming from. He's been through a lot, and I tried to sympathize with him, and he just wasn't willing to really listen. He was angry. He was angry that he's just been through all this stuff with his hotel, and he was angry at the fact that he thought that I was, saying that these regulations aren't good, when in fact I'm trying to say, if you have certifications, which your hotel has, and then you have government regulations, which is something entirely different, and he's saying, they're tied together and stuff. And it just, to make a long story short, it wasn't a good conversation. I didn't really talk to him much. He did most of the yelling, and
So just to be clear, he's frustrated. You were saying, when you're saying he's frustrated, you're saying he's frustrated because he's had to deal with a bunch of the regulations that he, on the other hand, appears to love so much.
No, he's frustrated. He was more frustrated at me at the fact that I'm saying that the government is not protecting the consumers. He's saying that they are. And then we got into the whole taxes, and you're paying taxes, and you're part of the organization. It was just, he kind of went all over the place.
What claim was it, as far as what was his main claim, that the government protects the consumer when it comes to regulations on hotels and that sort of thing? Because I haven't heard a lot of, people getting murdered at Airbnbs, and I certainly have heard of people getting murdered at hotels. So I don't know what regulations are we talking about? What claim? What does it make his claim?
He was most likely talking about stuff like making sure the elevator is up to date, and making sure
very few elevators in people's houses.
Right.
Well, the Airbnb thing came up later in the conversation. It wasn't the first thing you talked about with him, right?
Right. I had brought it up more toward the middle of the conversation, and he wasn't so much upset about it. I mean, he's not against the whole Airbnb necessarily, but he was saying that, oh, you don't want to go and stay in one of those, or he was kind of all over the place.
What's his
like,
political view? Just curious. What does he identify with?
I'm sorry?
What is his political view that he identifies with, if any?
I honestly don't know.
Okay.
He agrees with some of the stuff that I kind of identify with. I'm an anarchist personally, but then again, he's half the conversation was your things exist because of the government, and I disagree with him.
Well, there's a certain type of person, and it would seem like somebody who's a righty would be more likely to support business freedom. And more, so I don't know. Maybe he's more a lefty. Not
always. They have a lot of protectionism going on in the right wing, and it sounds like he's kind of marrying the concepts of something is a good idea and something should be legal. I wouldn't stay in one either, and I wouldn't recommend anybody else to do it. But I don't think they should be illegal. There's lots of things that I think are subpar products. That doesn't mean they should be criminalized.
Sure.
And if you have a good business model, you'll make money anyway.
Right, and I really feel bad for him because he's been through a lot of stuff, but the conversation was kind of all over the place. It wasn't really spot on one particular subject.
The time when is a good time to talk to somebody who's a business owner about regulations being bad is when they've been screwed over by them. I mean,
this is kind of what was happening.
No, that's not what he said. That's what I asked him about that, Mark, and that was not why he was upset. He was upset because of the conversation with Mike, not because of the regulations. I asked him about that. Hey, thanks for the call tonight, man.
I
appreciate it.
But I think I failed.
It's Free Talk Live. Our toll-free number is 855-450-FREE. There's just a good time to talk about this stuff to people, and I would say that if the dude's happy with his business and likes his protectionism, he's probably not a good prospect for freedom.
Every once in a while, you get information that's worth changing your life for. This is one such time. You can save up to and beyond 25% on all purchases at Amazon. You probably heard of Bitcoin and just not thought much about it. You certainly know that you can get competitive pricing at Amazon, but now you can get a 25% discount on nearly everything you need to live. I've just given you a huge raise, and all you have to do is claim it. You go to saveitpurse.com and open an account. Do this right now. Don't wait. Then you fund the account with Bitcoin. You can buy them through expresscoin.com with a check or money order. There are other ways to get Bitcoin, but that's fast, safe, and easy. This information is worth you changing the way you do things. Go to saveitpurse.com right now, get signed up, and cash in on the huge raise I'm offering you. 15 to 25% off of everything at Amazon through saveitpurse.com. It's saveatpurse.com.
Are you happy washing your hands with harsh chemicals? Are you happy doing laundry with detergents? Are you happy paying high prices? Find your happiness with Pure Soap. These all-natural, earth-friendly Pure Soaps are the very best you've ever used. Buy in bulk. Get a 12, 36, or 48-month supply, or get items individually and still save big. You're getting soap products twice as good as what you're using now, earth-friendly and natural soaps. Your family deserves the best. Happiness is 5starsoap.com. Why not put your money up the drain for a change? See them at 5starsoap.com or call 1-800-340-7091 for a catalog. Cal Ben Soap Company can save you thousands of dollars and give you good old-fashioned real soaps that are triple concentrated. Soaps made from vegetable and coconut oils. See their full selection of soaps at 5starsoap.com. That's F-I-V-E starsoap.com. Or call 1-800-340-7091 for a catalog.
Odds are, if you've looked outside recently, you've noticed that all dogs everywhere are running. Scientists can't explain why all over the world dogs of every breed are running nonstop. I'm joined now by animal behavior expert Dr. Charles Davenport. Charles, what can you tell us?
All we know for sure is that the dogs are running fast.
But we don't know why the dogs are running?
There are a few reasons that dogs normally run. Because they're excited or scared, or they see something they want far away, or because they're happy. However, usually, they don't run at the same time or in the same direction.
Do we have any idea where the dogs are running?
West. All the dogs are running west.
Do we expect the dogs to ever stop running?
We don't know. Animal behavior can evolve over time. Maybe running forever is just what the dogs do now.
Dr. Davenport, is there any chance that the running dogs are somehow related to last night's blue meteor shower? Or the fact that horses are screaming?
Inconclusive.
Well, please keep us posted. Up next, where are all the children?
This is the Onion News Network.
Here's a chance to do a little activism while you're cruising Facebook, Twitter, or Google+. Between the LOL cats, the recipes, the hot girls, and the inspirational sunrise memes, Free Talk Live's posts pass by your newsfeed. Like them, comment. It gives us more exposure. If you don't see our posts, click like at facebook.freetalklive.com and then hover over it to click Get Notifications. It's an easy way to spread the ideas of liberty a bit further. I know you're busy, but you can spare that tenth of a calorie it takes to click on something. Facebook.freetalklive.com.
This Your Family Today tip is brought to you by Nesquik. Try Nesquik 4-packs, perfect for lunches and great for kids on the go. Look for it in the juice aisle. Snack time is a great chance to sneak extra calcium into your child's diet without making him feel like he's eating something he doesn't want. Serve up dairy-rich foods like smoothies, flavored milk, frozen yogurt, and string cheese. He'll love the treat, and you'll love knowing how good it is for him. For more tips like these, visit us at parenthood.com/yourfamilytoday.
Do you love Twitter? Make sure you favorite the LRN.FM Twitter account so you can receive our tweets at twitter.lrn.fm. That's twitter.lrn.fm.
It's Free Talk Live. Join us here. The toll-free number is 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. Joining you in the studio tonight here, it's Ian.
Melanie.
And Mark.
Also, if you ever wanted to start your own blog or website but just haven't gotten around to doing it because maybe you're a little overwhelmed by the process, well, there's good news. Not only are we going to give you a killer deal from HostGator, one of the top hosting companies out there, but HostGator makes it super easy to get started. They've got simple, one-click, easy installation for WordPress, which is the go-to content management system for blogs and websites. They've got 24/7 over-the-phone or live chat tech support and a very intuitive and user-friendly control panel that puts the power of creation and the simplicity of use into your hands. On top of all that, they've got a 99.99% uptime rating, so you don't have to worry about outages. Go get started over at hostgator.com/FTL, and you will save 50% off of their regular prices for as long of an initial term as you'd like to sign up for. It's up to 3 years. So you can try it for a month if you want, but then you got to pay the regular prices after a month. Or sign up for 3 years and you don't have to pay the regular prices for 3 years. It's an incredible deal.
Yeah, if you're gonna get hosting, this is the way to do it.
Absolutely. HostGator.com/FTL, like Free Talk Live, as we go to your calls and thoughts. More coming up about Venezuela and a proposed, or not proposed, but some people are saying a coup has happened there within the last week, and it's not a good kind of coup. Let's go to Sarah listening in Albuquerque first, though. You're on Free Talk Live. Hello, Sarah.
Oh, yes. I got the exact detail of that. Mrs. Obama gave a commencement speech at the Santa Fe Indian College about 5 months ago, and that really impressed me because I really feel that the Obamas, president, they really did try to help the Native communities as much as they can.
Now, would it have impressed you if you found out that Michelle Obama received $50,000 as a speaking fee?
At the Santa Fe Indian School, that particular one?
I'm not telling you that that's what she received. I'm just asking you if she received, because it's not uncommon for people like Bill Clinton and Hillary to receive $100,000 or more for a speech like this. So would it be as impressive for you if you found out she didn't do it out of the goodness of her own heart, but in fact did it because it was, tens of thousands of dollars for her?
Well, I'm pretty sure that this was voluntary.
Doubtful.
There's nothing to do with the money whatsoever.
Highly doubtful. I mean, she did it voluntarily for the money. She didn't go and volunteer to go fly to Santa Fe College and then give this commencement speech. These politicians and their wives and husbands, they get paid for that.
Well, you know what? I've been listening to Native American Calling, and I've been hearing that Obama really helped with the land rights and all sorts of stuff. And he went to a lot of the Native gatherings meetings and so forth before he was president.
How come he's not helping the poor Indians who are having their land stolen from them for that pipeline in North Dakota?
Well, I don't know. Wasn't he trying to help? I think he was trying to help.
Doesn't look like he's helping anything. There's a bunch of federal shock troops going in there arresting people.
No, I was told about it. In fact, Amy Goodman got charges put on her, from the NPR.
Yeah, the feds are arresting people for protesting on their own land because the oil companies are trying to steal it.
Right. That's your boy Obama who's doing that. How's that make you feel?
Well, you know what? I really don't think he is responsible, but I just think that he could only do so much. He's not the one that's causing it. You know what I mean?
Right, but it's his employees that are enforcing it, so...
Yeah, he could he could call it off anytime he wanted to. He's in charge of the executive branch of the federal government. If he wanted to call off the shock troops, he could call them off anytime he wanted to.
Well, the thing is that, a president, they can't make this world into like a Garden of Eden, like people would like it.
No, they
can't,
but they can refrain from arresting protesters on their own land.
Sounds like you're making excuses to me, Sarah.
I mean, like either one or the other is true. Either Obama is out there looking out for the Native community, or he believes that this pipeline, for whatever reason, maybe it's because it makes a lot of jobs, or whatever the reasons are, is more important than whatever the arguments are that the Indians have regarding this land. One of those is true, right?
Well, you know what? The only hope that we have is whether we get screwed a little or get screwed a lot by a president.
That's true. That much is true. Actually, it's probably that they're going to screw us either way we go, but it'll likely only be a little bit of a difference between the screwing between Hillary Clinton and Donald Trump. Thanks for the call, Sarah. Keep making your excuses there for your political heroes. Look the other direction whenever they violate your purported principles and beliefs.
That's just kind of what happens in politics, right?
Yeah. So toll-free number tonight, 855-450-FREE. Well, people aren't looking the other direction in Venezuela when it comes to what President Hugo Chavez is doing. In fact, they're trying to get him Hugo Chavez. He's dead. His successor, Nicolas Maduro.
They win.
I was reading his name at the same time.
Definitely would not be looking the other way if he was doing things.
They might be better off if they were actually being led by the country was being led by a corpse, because then he wouldn't be able to do as much. But in this case, it's his successor.
That's what the United States does best. So when you have a Democrat, they say that when you have a Democrat in the White House and a Republican-controlled Congress, at least one of the houses, that's when the economy does best. Which essentially is saying when the politicians are deadlocked,
yes,
and they can't get much done.
Get anything done, right? Yeah,
that's when the economy does best.
So what happened just this last week, according to the AP, is that the presidential recall referendum has been blocked by, I believe it was a court there in Venezuela. Essentially, there's a question about some of the petition signatures that they've had, or at least that's the claim, is that, maybe some of the voters who signed these documents were not who they said they were or whatever, but they still had 1.8 million of these signatures, if I'm recalling the number correctly. But the Election Commission, which has issued a string of pro-government rulings, halted the recall process on the grounds of alleged irregularities in the first round of signature gathering. Polls suggest 80% of the voters want Maduro gone this year, and the Electoral Council Tuesday also ordered a delay of about 6 months in gubernatorial elections that were slated for the end of this year.
So the Venezuelan government is going to hornswoggle the voters in this circumstance. And I'd like to point out that there have been lots of politicians and especially movie stars go and visit Venezuela to just sort of support, or at least that's what it looks like, to lend support to these socialist regimes. And these organizations are, there's nothing of the people when it comes to these politicians. They're in it for themselves.
Polls suggest 80% of the voters want Maduro gone. The opposition charges the Socialist Party has simply decided to put off elections indefinitely in the face of overwhelming voter discontent. They have called for massive street protest on Wednesday of this week on what would have been the start of the signature gathering campaign. So they had to gather signatures initially, and now they have to gather more signatures, but now that's not going to happen because the court has called into question, or the election commission has called into question, the first batch of signatures. Maduro was traveling outside the country. He advised the country in a televised address to remain calm. He says, "I call on everyone to remain peaceful, to engage in dialogue, respect law and order, and to not do anything crazy," he said. This is Free Talk Live. We'll continue in moments.
This is Dan Pilla. Do you owe the IRS money you can't pay? Are tax debts crippling you? I've defended people from the IRS for over 30 years. I've helped thousands, and I can help you too. I wrote the book on IRS settlement, and I'm telling you, there's no such thing as a hopeless case. Call 800-34-NO-TAX to finally get free of IRS debt. With the IRS's new programs, there's never been a better time to solve your problem. Call 800-34-NO-TAX. That's 800-34-NO-TAX, or my website, danpilla.com.
Want to build a maintenance-free, low and slow charcoal briquette fire that burns for hours for free? MeatMastersRadio.com will show you how to build a low-temp charcoal fire that's guaranteed fiddle-proof. It's easy and free. MeatMastersRadio.com teaches charcoal barbecue skills on new topics every week. Go to MeatMastersRadio.com. That's MeatMastersRadio.com.
Since time began, tyrants have taken aim at personal liberties. Now there's a movie that aims back.
The government has no more right to tell us what to put in our bodies than they have to take our guns or tell us what books we can read.
6 drug police were eaten by bears while raiding a marijuana farm.
On your knees, you dirty hippies! Jesus. On your knees! What's the problem, officer?
Today, many cops who enforce pot laws do so only because it provides them with cushy jobs, good benefits, and a chance to push people around.
I was an undercover narcotics officer. The drug war is nothing but a farce.
The Second Amendment says you gotta keep you and your get intact.
Guns and Weed, The Road to Freedom. A film by Michael W. Dean and Nima Vadadi.
DVD available now at gunsandweed.com or on Amazon. That's gunsandweed.com. Makes the perfect gift. Remember, that's gunsandweed.com.
Are you a political activist who does things that the government might not like? Then this free ebook may save your life. Rats is your guide to protecting yourself against snitches, informers, informants, agents provocateur, narcs, finks, and similar vermin. Rats was written by OG libertarian Claire Wolfe. Rats is a short book, easy to read, and available free in many formats. Download Rats free at rats-nosnitch.com. That's rats-nosnitch.com.
So you've heard all 3 hours of the latest episode of Free Talk Live, and you're still hungry for liberty-oriented audio content? Did you know that we have another 24/7 audio stream at LRN.FM? The Liberty Radio Network airs the latest episodes of some of the best liberty-oriented podcasts on the internet around the clock. In addition to recorded content, you'll also hear live shows like Free Talk Live, originating from our Keene, New Hampshire studio. So listen anytime at LRN.FM. That's LRN.FM.
The Shire Free Church offers a sanctuary to those seeking an escape from state churches.
The Shire Free Church is an interfaith, diverse group of people that may not share identical theological beliefs. As a member in or minister of the Shire Free Church, you are a sovereign individual and may be the faith of your choice.
We don't claim to have all of the answers.
We are open to all peaceful people.
We want to learn from each other.
What unifies the Shire Free Church and its diverse members is peace,
love, and liberty. There are many paths to God, one for every individual.
The Shire Free Church does not define a specific path beyond those parameters that must be your foundation.
Peace as your way,
love as your guide,
and liberty as your light.
Learn more at church.shiresociety.com.
That's church.shiresociety.com.
If you enjoy LRN.FM, please contribute to your favorite shows via their websites and become an amplifier at amp.lrn.fm. That's amp.lrn.fm.
This is Free Talk Live. Dial in toll-free. Take control of the airwaves. Bring up anything you want. Our number here is 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. And also our Skype username is LRN.FM. It's Ian, Melanie, and Mark in the studio tonight. Entrepreneurship, progress, innovation. You can achieve personal success while helping to create a prosperous society. As Ludwig von Mises said, economics deals with society's fundamental problems. It's the main and proper study of every citizen. Visit fee.org/FTL for free online lessons perfect for the classroom or even self-study. The course is Economics in One Day, and it's easy to understand, but will impart upon you an understanding of economics greater than school ever could. For over 70 years, the Foundation for Economic Education has been providing free resources to teachers and students. You can start today at no charge at fee.org/FTL. That's fee.org/FTL, like Free Talk Live, and learn why entrepreneurship matters. Now, in Venezuela, it's pretty hard to be an entrepreneur because, well, the country is drastically impoverished due to socialist programs that have been in place for a long time. The socialist government, which has now basically become a dictatorship, with the placing on hold of a recall referendum that had garnered quite a bit of public support.
They say 80%.
Public polls were showing 80% of voters wanted Nicolas Maduro, the president of the country, gone this year, but he's got the court in his pocket, despite the fact that the country's legislature went to the opposition party late last year. The Maduro administration has been doing everything they can within the courts to push back against that. And so they've managed to, I think, overturn a couple of the elections that happened, and now they're putting this recall petition on hold. Meanwhile, one of the most powerful allies of Maduro, Diosdado Cabello, said the top opposition leader should be jailed for attempting election fraud. And by the way, they've already jailed some of them. Wait, you agree that the opposition should be jailed for election fraud?
Maduro. That's what I was thinking.
You think Maduro should be jailed?
Yes.
That's not what this guy's saying. This is one of Maduro's buddies who's saying these guys over the challengers should be put in jail. And again, some of them already are in jail for other things. They've been targeted. You know, they're running against the powers that be, and so the powers that be are targeting them and coming up with reasons to arrest them. Amid the rising tensions, former Spanish Prime Minister José Luis Zapatero, who for months has been attempting to mediate dialogue between the two sides, is in Caracas and expected to meet Saturday with representatives of the opposition and the government. The opposition had centered its energy on rallying Venezuelans to sign petitions this coming week demanding a referendum on Maduro's removal. That would require collecting and validating 4 million signatures from 20% of the electorate within 3 days in each of the country's 24 states. I mean, can you imagine?
That's crazy talk.
Yeah. The amount of effort, the amount of organization that would have to go into something like that is tremendous. 3 days to collect 4 million signatures? I mean, you'd have to have
it'd be a vote, essentially.
You'd have to have 100,000 petition gatherers, or quite a few of them, in order to be able to pull that off. But that just shows you what the level of opposition against this government is like. The fact that they were gearing up for this.
Well, people are starving.
Yeah, they were ready to do this thing is really impressive. But the campaign had become mostly symbolic already because the election board ruled in September that no vote would take place this year. Now, the timing is crucial. A successful vote to oust Maduro this year would have triggered a presidential election and given the opposition a good shot at winning power. If Maduro, however, is voted out in 2017, his vice president will finish off the presidential term, which would leave the socialists in charge. The Electoral Council said last week the decision was based on rulings by courts in 4 states that found there was fraud in the initial stage of the petition drive when the opposition collected signatures from just 1% of the electorate. The council itself had validated those signatures in August and allowed the process to move forward. It gave no indication if or when the process would resume. The move sparked a new round of international condemnation of the socialist government, and the Washington Post, in an editorial piece or an opinion piece, Francisco Toro is writing that Venezuela is officially now a full-blown dictatorship as a result of this decision.
Pretty close.
Yeah, Venezuelans here have been gearing up for this week here, and it came as quite a shock with this signature gathering drive to officially activate the vote was scheduled for next week, opposition activists were preparing their plans to get out to the voters to sign. Not one, not even the military, seemed to have been expecting this. It's been a day of sober reckoning in Caracas as Venezuelans process the death of the recall process and its implications. And it's easy to over-dramatize these things, but it's also important to not lose the forest for the trees. A relatively large, relatively sophisticated major oil producer, just 3 hours flying time from the United States, has just become the second all-out, no-more-elections dictatorship in the Western Hemisphere. See, for 17 years, political scientists have been casting about for a suitable way of describing the strange in-between political system that Hugo Chavez invented for Venezuela. It wasn't quite democracy in the usual sense, clearly, but it also wasn't a normal dictatorship. The government might not have had much time for the fine print of constitutional rule, but in broad terms, people were basically free to associate, to speak, and to vote. What do you call that? Competitive authoritarianism? A hybrid regime? An illiberal democracy? None of the labels seemed to stick, but what did stick was the lasting impression of in-betweenness, of Venezuela as not quite a dictatorship. For Venezuela's pro-democracy activists, fighting a regime that has instituted dictatorship by tiny increments has been an exhausting ordeal, which is why today, mixed with the genuine anger at the subversion of their constitutional right to a recall...
They're genuinely angry, but they've been genuinely angry for a long time, and mostly it's because they're hungry.
You can detect just a hint of gratitude for the clarity that this brings. We're rid of the adjectives. We're finally through with the academic circumlocutions. There's no need to hyphenate it anymore. Venezuela is just a dictatorship. He is the executive editor, by the way, of the Caracas Chronicles blog, reporting from Caracas in Montreal. So that's somebody who regularly spends time in Venezuela, calling this move by the Venezuelan government basically throwing off any possibility of a recall petition, which is clearly what the people of Venezuela are pushing for, as he's saying this is a dictatorship.
Yeah.
And that's not really the problem. Well, I mean, it's a problem because it's a form of government, but the reason why they're having so many problems is not because they're a dictatorship, it's because they're socialist. You can have a relatively free market. It's not going to be free market because there's a government. You could have a relatively free market dictatorship, and that will do as well as a Western republic. The fact that he's a dictator isn't why the economy's collapsing. That's kind of irrelevant.
Yep. If you look at Singapore, actually, that's a rather authoritarian. Now, I don't know who's in charge at Singapore, which says to me it's not a dictatorship, but it's been a very authoritarian government for a very long time.
Right.
People are wealthy and happy there. Because their government... What's that?
Just don't spit your gum in the streets.
Don't spit your gum in the street. But you don't have gum in the street then, right? I mean, people are wealthy and happy because essentially they're free from an economic standpoint. They can open businesses. They can buy and trade. It's easy to
It's the number 2 most economically free country in the world.
Right. But it's an authoritarian government. So what Melanie's saying is precisely true, and I've talked to economists about this, is that it really just comes down to how economically free people are as far as, in many cases, the public's well-being and happiness. I'm not saying that, I'm sure people smoke pot in Singapore, right? But, for whatever reason.
Very carefully.
Yeah, you ought to.
Well, I get what you're saying here, Melanie, and I think what he's pointing out in this opinion piece is that at least now it's clear to folks what's going on. That, okay, it was socialism before, it's still socialism now, but at least there's no more illusion that there's any chance to change the system within the system.
Right,
now
but I think that he's still placing a lot of the blame, at least implicitly, on the fact that it's a dictatorship. And I mean, honestly...
No, he's just saying it is a dictatorship. Like it's sort of always felt like a dictatorship.
Right, but why point that out if that's not relevant? Like, okay, it's a warm climate. Like, okay, so what? If that doesn't have anything to do with the fact that the economy's collapsing, why point that out?
It's socialism. You're right.
Yeah,
And I mean, honestly, dictatorships and monarchies, I think, all else being equal, do better than republics and democracies.
That's an interesting conversation to have, and I think there's a strong argument for it. 855-450 free.
All right, listen up, because this is the most important thing you're going to hear all day. What if I said you could make money flipping houses without any cash, credit, or manual labor? And what if I said you could do it part-time from the comfort of your home? Sound unflippin' believable? Hi, I'm Preston Neely, and I'm going to prove it by sending you a free copy of my smash hit selling book, How to Get Rich in Real Estate. It sells online for $19.95, but I'm giving away free copies this week. To get one before they're gone, call 1-800-960-4295. I used to be so broke, I had my electricity shut off 9 times, but I figured out a simple way to make money flipping houses without even breaking a sweat. Now I'm living the good life, and so should you. Listen, if you're sick and tired of stressing about money, this book could change your life. Hands down, it's the fastest, easiest way to get started in real estate. Let me prove it. Call right now to find out how to get your free book. When they're gone, they're gone. Call 1-800-960-4295. 1-800-960-4295.
Attention small business owners. Want to save money on your employee health insurance plan? Learn the little-known solution that could save thousands of dollars on your health insurance benefits and save your employees money, too. Call Health Markets for a free consultation, and one of our 3,000 local agents will show you how to make healthcare reform work for you. We'll design customized solutions for your business that can lower healthcare costs for you and your employees. We'll work directly with you to determine your needs. We search thousands of health plans from over 180 health insurance companies nationwide. You'll also find out if tax credits could save you money. Best of all, the service is free of charge. See why Health Markets has enrolled Americans in more than 2 million insurance policies. You don't have to wait for open enrollment to lower your cost. Call now. Find out how much you and your employees could be saving.
Representatives are standing by to assist you. Call 800-930-5137. That's 800-930-5137. 800-930-5137.
Why did you move to the Shire?
I moved here to the Shire because there's other people around who take liberty just as seriously as I do.
I moved to the Shire because I saw videos of people challenging authority and thought that I could get support myself. It called to me, like, do this right now.
I wanted to be around people like me who got it. And once I got here, I knew there was nowhere else that I wanted to be.
I've always wanted to change the world. So I moved to the Shire to join people who were actually working towards doing the same thing.
The people here are awesome, loving, and positive. It was for the adventure and for the feeling of something important is happening here. And I just wanted to come to sort of be part of that.
Visit ShireSociety.com to read and sign the Shire Society Declaration and learn the reasons why, if you love liberty, you should immigrate to the Shire. Plus, add yourself to the Shire map at ShireSociety.com. That's ShireSociety.com.
LRN.FM is proud to announce our official listening apps for Android and iOS devices. Now you can easily tune into our streams anywhere, anytime on your smartphone or tablet. Just visit apps.lrn.fm or search for LRN.FM in the Android or Apple app stores. Please download, rate us 5 stars, then share the link on your social media and let your friends and family know how you're listening to LRN.FM. Download it now, free at apps.lrn.fm.
This is your Roberts & Roberts Brokerage Daily Precious Metals Update. In early trading Monday, gold is $4 higher at $1,271 per ounce, and silver is 32 cents higher at $17.88 per ounce. Bitcoin is currently trading at $650 US. Roberts & Roberts Brokerage has been helping clients buying and selling precious metals for nearly 40 years. For more information, call Roberts & Roberts Brokerage at 800-874-9760 or visit us online at rrbi.co.
You can put the Liberty Radio Network on the air in your area. Visit broadcast.lrn.fm to learn how. Broadcast.lrn.fm.
This is Free Talk Live. Dial in toll free and join us here. 855-450 free. Coming up, we still have to talk about the Blue Lives Matter arrest. First one. Hopefully it'll be the last, but not likely. We'll give you a little bit more about that. You can also take control of the airwaves and bring up anything you want at 855-450 free. Skype username is LRN.FM. Tonight in studio, it's Ian,
Melanie,
and Mark.
Don't forget you can join us online. Head over to freetalklive.com. You get to create the content there on the site. The front page of the site is a Reddit-based system, which is free to use. You can actually submit content. So if there's something you think we should be talking about here and you don't want to call in and talk about it with us, you can just submit it to the front page of the site, and we might just use it as show prep here. So head on over to freetalklive.com and then get interactive there. It is completely free, unlike a lot of those other talk show hosts. in the business that will charge you for their site. So enjoy it. freetalklive.com. We can talk more about some of the craziness in Venezuela. They're saying that it's time to prepare for some possible violence in the streets because people are rightfully upset at the Venezuelan government basically putting on hold indefinitely a recall petition to get rid of the president of the country. And Melanie, you were saying, and I've made this argument before, so I'd love to hear, because I think we're going to be on the same page on this one, that a monarchy or a dictatorship could be better in a lot of cases than a democracy.
Right. I really didn't expect you to agree with me on that one. But yeah, all else being equal, I mean, you can have, obviously, a horrible dictatorship.
Yeah.
And you can have a better democracy.
Yeah, I think that's the best argument for democracy is that it knocks the rough edges off of autocracies. So, for instance, when you've got King Henry VIII dealing with mercury poisoning, syphilis, or whatever the hell he's got going on, and lopping wives' heads off one after another, and doing all kinds of crazy things, which, by the way, resulted in the Church of England. When you've got these things going on, then you can have a real problem on your hands when you are dealing with an autocrat. But I think that in many cases, when you're dealing with somebody who's an expert, right? Like they've been being an autocrat for their whole lives. Their dad was the autocrat. They're the autocrat. It's the family business. If you look at these places around the world as they exist today, and maybe we can make the argument that democracies tend to temper them. But there's a lot of good arguments. I think that it's an extraordinarily unpopular opinion.
So is everything I say, but that's fine.
You shouldn't have an opinion because it's unpopular.
Well, I don't, but it just happens to turn out that way.
Okay.
If I believed what everybody else believed, I would not feel the need to drive an hour every week and come talk about what everyone else already knows on the radio. That would just be really silly.
Right, because you're driving here from Manchester, so
yeah,
quite the dedication that you have.
So, if you have a monarchy or a dictatorship, and really a dictatorship is just a way of saying you're a monarchy and I don't like you. So if you have one person running the government, then that person has a vested interest in maintaining the, not market value, but the value of the company, the country as an asset.
Mm-hmm.
It's not their asset. They're stealing it. They're evil for running a country. But as governments go, that's going to be usually the better deal.
How about Castro? I mean, that's what people are going to toss out
obviously, you
there.
can find examples of dictators that are bad people. But what about, wasn't it Liechtenstein, where there's somebody, like some prince or whoever's in charge of that place?
Yeah, and the prince is a very principled libertarian. His name is escaping me, but I'm sorry if I don't know.
We had somebody call about it once, or we had some guests on at one point. And
Pardon me if I don't know my lesser nobility. But
they're arguably one of the freest places in the world.
They arguably are the freest.
The reason they're not included is because their population is so low, it just doesn't qualify for the various different rankings of countries. So, if there were a dictator...
Before we go any further, he's not an autocrat, okay?
There is a parliament of some sort, right?
Yeah, there's, he has all kinds of... He's the chief executive,
but if he were,
he's not an autocrat.
But if he were the dictator of the country and his policy was, just send 5% to the government and do whatever you want, and there was no regulations or anything like that, it would be one of the most prosperous countries in the world.
Yeah, probably.
Right, and so... especially if you have a genetic line of power where you're handing it down to your children, most people are going to have an interest in maintaining the value of the asset because at that point they're treating it like an asset.
Right.
Whereas if you have a republic like the States where you're in power for 4 years or 8 years or maybe 20 years if you're a senator or something like that, you have an incentive to milk it for all it's worth and leave.
Well, in many cases, what we've found that, I'm only claiming that we're talking about marginally better here. And you have to have that person in charge is that they're able to, they have to understand the value of a free market. And if they don't, then there's all the other problems come back.
And with a dictator, they have to understand the value of the free market. With a republic, you have to convince a majority or supermajority, or even more than that if we're getting into these 72-sided district pictures that you can go image Google, that the free market is good, and then word legislation so that they understand that that's what they're voting for, and have people be honest who are running for office who are saying that the free market's good. So you end up with a less kind of schizophrenic policies with a dictator than you do with a republic or a pure democracy, because you have one person making rules, and those are the rules, and you could get a bad person. That happens.
Right.
It happens a lot because it's a government. But
and because it's a position of power, you are likely to attract a bad person. But I think you're making a very strong argument here. Let's go to Andrew, listening in Arizona online. Go ahead, Andrew. You're on Free Talk Live.
Yeah, I'm definitely for the monarchy and the dictatorship. Yeah, monarchy. I can see your point. I think that literally would be now as we see. I mean, we can't find voluntarism. It doesn't exist. Am I right?
I mean, it's only in our minds.
I suppose you could make the argument that it exists on every sailboat in international waters.
All right, fair enough.
Well, you could also make the argument that voluntarism is the way of life for most people, in that they do interact with one another on a consensual basis. They do business with one another on a consensual basis. Almost everything that we do is consensual. It's just that there are these other people out there called the government who insist that we give them money and obedience, and that sort of ruins the whole thing.
Right, and I'm not making the argument, and I don't think anybody else here is either, that is the optimum way to structure a society.
You don't want to change to that, yeah.
Not necessarily. I'm making the argument that it's the least harmful form of government. Obviously, anarchy, voluntarism is better, but as far as governments go, it is the least harmful form of government.
Or could be.
But as far as potentiality, our potential to become a free society, I think it's a much better shot than democracy. Democracy, I mean, even Stalin, Lenin, these Marxists, they said that democracy is just the road to socialism. Of course, Hitler, these people are all socialists, right?
Yeah.
And so I think that it's legitimately, you look at the Bible. Now, if you're a Bible-believing Christian, you got Jesus. He's the King of Kings. He's going to reign on the earth for 1,000 years, according to the Bible, right? This is what it's saying. Well, that's a hardcore dictatorship. Not hardcore in the sense of violence or anything is what it's saying. It's saying it's peaceful. But even the Bible, even the Christians could say that. How could they believe in democracy? The book itself is saying that this dictatorship or this kingship is something that's better because he knows best. So if we have Murray Rothbard as our king of all kings, and of course I would love to live in that dictatorship of Murray Rothbard, right?
I think there's an argument for it. I am not going to come down on the point as far as Melanie does and say it's the best form or least harmful form of government that we've seen up to this point. But I am going to say that if an autocrat, and that's the term I prefer to use because I think it covers everything. If an autocrat is going to be freedom-oriented, they're going to be fiscally conservative, they're going to stay out of business, they're going to allow a market to flourish, then they're going to be better off because they don't have to ask everybody. You don't have every average Joe out there with their hand out saying, hey, what about me? What about me? What about me?
Yeah, I agree. I mean, where could we, as far as the Constitution goes, or you have the Declaration of Independence, I think what they're trying to establish is something that we have people that are going to strictly adhere to this Declaration of Independence, minus the Interstate Commerce Clause or something, and that would be some sort of ongoing dictatorship, but they made it into this republic democracy type thing. That was bound to fail because you're going to have the voice of
the people. Yeah. It gives people the illusion that they actually have a say in these things when ultimately all they're picking is the dictator, Donald Trump or Hillary Clinton. Thanks for the call tonight, man. I appreciate it. Hour 3's coming up. We got time for you on Free Talk Live.
For Bitcoin to be ubiquitous, people need to use it. For people to use it, they must have it. How can we get Bitcoin into more hands? Well, tipping might be a great way. What if you could include a bonus Bitcoin tip along with your regular tip to a server? What if that Bitcoin returned to you if unclaimed after 30 days? An attractive business card-sized Bitcoin tip that is easily claimed, gives instructions on wallets, spending, and returns to the user if unused? Tip.freetalklive.com. Tip.freetalklive.com.
Via BTC is the fifth largest mining pool in the world by hash rate distribution. They recently announced they had officially mined their first Bitcoin Unlimited block on October 10th with a Coinbase size vote of 2 megabytes. Almost immediately after Via BTC's appearance at Roger Ver's free speech party in Milan, Italy, the pool announced they would be allocating 100% of their hashing power to mining Bitcoin Unlimited blocks. The team has confirmed they are running Bitcoin Unlimited. To learn more, go to news.bitcoin.com.
Looking for a great real estate investment? Consider New Hampshire, which is ground zero for the Liberty Movement. Your first call should be to Mark Worden from Porcupine Real Estate. He's more than just a real estate agent. He's your New Hampshire concierge. Where are the best places to live? Do you want farm, city, the burbs, or forest? Do you want a duplex or multifamily building so that renters pay your mortgage? There are homes in all price ranges in New Hampshire, and Mark can help with financing too. Invest in Liberty and property. Mark Worden can help.
PorcupineRealEstate.com.
You may already know about the Free Talk Live audio-on-demand phone line at 641-793-9660. Did you know that not only can you listen to Free Talk Live via your phone, you can also leave a message and have it delivered to Free Talk Live's hosts? To leave us your thoughts, just dial 641-793-9660. That's 641-793-9660. Press 2 for Free Talk Live, and then hit 0 to leave your message.
You're listening to the live edition of Free Talk Live. Hour number 3 is next after the news here on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
From Keene in the Shire, the Liberty Media capital of the world, this is Daryl W. Perry, host of FPP Radio News for Monday, October 24th, 2016. Silver is trading at $17.62 per ounce. Gold is valued at $1,265 per ounce. And according to BitcoinAverage.com, the average price of Bitcoin is $656. Antiwar.com reports the 72-hour ceasefire in Yemen expired over the weekend and fighting resumed almost immediately thereafter. Both sides spent virtually the whole ceasefire accusing the others of violations, though in practice the number of casualties plummeted during the truce and the capital of Sana'a was barely touched. Sana'a was immediately the target of the new rounds of airstrikes, with several attacks reported against both the city itself and the nearby port of Hodeidah. The Houthis launched attacks against pro-Saudi targets as well, with heavy artillery fire reported against the areas of Taiz, and Saudi officials reporting a pair of houses destroyed in the Jazan province. UN officials were working to try to secure another ceasefire or an extension of the existing one right up through its expiration, though in the end neither side has reported much interest, and indeed there was so much effort by both sides in blaming the other for shortcomings in the ceasefire that both seem at least a bit relieved that it's over. This 72-hour ceasefire was the result of calls by US and British officials and allowed for an influx of humanitarian aid. Exactly how much aid got in is unclear, but there were no peace talks or anything else, so the effort appears to have begun and ended with getting everyone a few days off from fighting and little aid delivered. For nearly 40 years, Roberts & Roberts Brokerage has been a trusted source for buying and selling precious metals like gold and silver. They also take Bitcoin for precious metal purchases and have permanently removed the minimum purchase amount for all orders paid in the digital currency. Call Roberts & Roberts today for knowledgeable advice on buying and selling precious metals and a forward-thinking approach to new technologies. 800-874-9760 or visit online at rrbi.co. UPI reports at least 13 people were killed after a tour bus and big rig collided on Interstate 10 Sunday morning in California. The Riverside County Coroner's Office confirmed the death toll to KNBC TV in Los Angeles. Also, 31 people were transported to 3 area hospitals, according to the California Highway Patrol. Desert Regional Medical Center, which was the valley's only trauma center, was treating 14 patients Sunday morning, including 5 in critical condition and 3 in serious condition. Stephanie Hamilton from the California Highway Highway Patrol said the bus, belonging to USA Holiday, a Los Angeles-based tour company, may have been coming from Red Earth Casino near the Salton Sea. The driver, who was taken to the hospital for treatment, was identified as one of its owners, according to Hamilton. Hamilton said the Highway Patrol is bringing in its specialized unit that investigates major crashes and that the westbound lanes on I-10 would be closed for some time.
Are you an advocate for free market money? Do you promote Bitcoin as an alternative in a fiat-centric world? Then you need Spend a Bit in your arsenal, the search engine for things you can buy with Bitcoin. Spend a Bit aggregates millions of products from thousands of Bitcoin-enabled merchants. Keep your money in the free economy. Visit spendabit.co today. Bitcoin merchants, ask about our merchant suite to reach even more customers. Spendabit.co.
Reuters reports AT&T Incorporated's proposed $85 billion takeover of Time Warner generated skepticism among both Democrats and Republicans on Sunday, making it more likely that regulators will closely scrutinize the efforts to create a new telecommunications and media giant. The biggest deal of the year, announced just over 2 weeks before the November 8th U.S. election, is a gamble on a victory for Democratic presidential candidate Hillary Clinton and a continuation of the status quo on antitrust and regulatory enforcement. The Republican candidate, Donald Trump, who is trailing Clinton in the polls, has said he would block the takeover. The billionaire businessman has railed against the media's role in what he described as a rigged election, and he believes the acquisition of Time Warner, which owns CNN and Warner Brothers, Hollywood's largest film and television studio, would concentrate too much power in one organization. Clinton, who has expressed misgivings about other corporate media mergers, has not yet commented on this takeover. But Senator Bernie Sanders, Clinton's former rival for the Democratic Party's nomination, said on Twitter that the administration should kill the Time Warner takeover because it would mean higher prices and fewer choices for consumers. The comments by Sanders carry weight because Clinton needs his coalition of young left-leaning voters to propel her to the presidency. The Senate Subcommittee on Antitrust will hold a hearing on the acquisition sometime in November. This has been FPP Radio News, online at fppradio.com.
During a curt Skype session earlier this afternoon, local Williamsburg resident 29-year-old Cormac Flanagan reminded his mother to, quote, try and be more careful after she forgot to pay his cell phone bill.
Mom, the phone company called today about my cell phone bill.
Oh, I'm so sorry. I completely forgot.
No, Mom, I'm not mad, but you had to stay on top of these things, you know.
I know,
You can't keep waiting until the last minute like this. Well, I don't want to have to keep reminding you every month. You know, I need my phone. I use it every day. I need my phone. I'm constantly using it.
I'm so bad. I'm really sorry. I'll get on it today.
All right, you know, just so you know, this really easy thing you can do. You know, there's this online auto pay. It just deducts from your bank account every month.
Yeah,
quite easy.
I know.
Okay.
I know.
It's fine. Just don't let it become a pattern. You know, I know you can do better than this.
Okay. I promise. I'll get on it today. Okay.
This is the Onion News Network.
Free Talk Live.
It's Free Talk Live. You can dial in toll-free. Join us on the radio. Our number is 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. We've been talking about dictatorships, monarchies versus democracies, and how Melanie and I are both basically taking the same position. And you said you were surprised that I agreed with you on this, Melanie. What did you think? I was going to go to bat for democracy?
I mean, I didn't think you were going to go to bat for democracy, but I think you were going to. I thought you were going. I don't know. You just seemed like a person who would prefer democracy.
I don't. I mean, I prefer no government whatsoever, but I can definitely see that a beneficent dictator would certainly be preferable to.
And it just seems like
democracy.
the form of government that functions most like property rights. It's not property rights. It's government, which is antithetical to property rights. But with a dictatorship, you have one guy making decisions. He gets to keep it because he's stealing it. With a democracy, you have 200 million people yelling for something different, whether or not votes get counted or not, assuming elections are real. Then you end up with this, and then you'll have one person with one strategy and another person with another strategy, and they have things that don't really fit together. But if different things win different elections and you do that 300 million times, you end up with a really like schizophrenic policy.
No, it's the property rights is definitely respected in the sort of the feudal vassal system. So if you're dealing with a count, usually this is your this is sort of your base level ruler. A count rules a county, right? So they own all of the land in the county.
Well, do they own it or did they conquer it? Because those are not the same.
Are you saying that the property that I currently don't own my property today because the United States government or the British government in the past somehow made some kind of spurious deal with the Indians and took the property?
No, I'm saying that were you to go over to your neighbor's house and kill him and say this is mine now, that it wouldn't be.
Yeah, but the question is, when do you, because somebody, essentially when it comes to property's been here a long time, somebody's killed somebody over the property at some point in the past when we're dealing with most property. So the question is when does property ownership become legitimate? When you buy it. So if the count inherited it from his father, does that make it him a little legitimate owner of the property? Or how many generations removed from when somebody killed somebody in order to take over?
If you're talking about a government, I think never, because you're still having this aggressive organization that exists for the sole purpose of committing aggression.
So what I'm saying is, in the case of the count, that's not the reason they exist. They exist as an administrator over this particular area, and they, it's a family business. They run the family business, and it functioned for a long time with some success, and the more freedom that the ruler will give to a given area, then the more likely they are to be successful, but, ultimately they own all the land.
We can continue the discussion. I wanted to point out that for those of us here in the United States, we're not going to be switching to any other political systems anytime soon. So for now, we're saddled with this one. And you have to ask yourself, well, what can you do to have whatever kind of effect that you can about this? And the Libertarians are an option, and it has been an election season like no other. The major parties, of course, put up their worst candidates they possibly could, while the Libertarian Gary Johnson has performed in the polls far better than a Libertarian has in the past. And, there's a big disagreement on Gary Johnson within the Libertarian movement. Some are delighted by his candidacy. There are also those like me that think he isn't libertarian enough. Either way, there's only one way for you to affect the libertarian nomination process in the future, and that's to get involved in the National Party. So, sure, you can complain from the sidelines, but if you actually want to make a difference within the Libertarian Party, we have negotiated a free Libertarian Party membership for you as a Free Talk Live listener. All you have to do is go and claim it by going to lp.org/FTL. So, LP, like Libertarian Party, lp.org/FTL, like Free Talk Live, and get signed up right now for your free Libertarian Party membership, lp.org/FTL. Let's go to David. He's on the line with us on Skype, calling from Raleigh. Go ahead, David.
Hey, yeah, if we're going to go to a dictatorship, I'm getting behind Manwich for king. So just want to throw that out there.
I'm already intergalactic ruler of everything. So
this is just another peerage title, right? Sort of kind of like a Duke of Wales or whatever craziness they do in the UK. But anyways, yeah.
You're dating yourself here, David. It's clear that you're a longtime listener of Free Talk Live because Mark, our co-host here, hasn't called himself Manwich since,
what, 05?
He said
Manwich. I didn't even think. Yeah.
05, 06? When did you... It was... Yeah, because we hadn't moved to New Hampshire yet, so it must have been 05.
I think it was 05 or 06, yeah.
Yeah, we started doing our syndicated show. You were Manwich back in the day when we were...
I had to make a living selling radio in Sarasota.
Local show.
And I couldn't have potential clients believing that, listening to what I might say on the radio, so I had to have a pseudonym.
Right. Yeah, but speaking of stuff from back in the day, it's sort of kind of like why I was calling because, I've noticed, and I don't know if this was intentional or whatever, but especially you, Ian, when people would call up and they'd say, oh, there should be a tax or somehow talk about, the thing taxation, you would correct them and say, no, let's stop using a euphemism. Let's call it what it is, theft. And the same thing for, arrest. It's like, no, let's call it what it is, kidnapping. Yeah. I mean, so is that just a misperception on my part, or was that something that actually did happen or that you've noticed has happened? Was that intentional?
I'm not sure what you're saying. Are you saying that, or are you wondering if I did that intentionally? Well, yeah, of course. I think you should. I think you should call things what they are. And I get a raft of S from some people for that because they don't like it when I'll write an article over at freekeen.com and use terms like theft or kidnapping in exchange for the government euphemisms for those very same things. And I think you should call it like it is. Be honest. That's what we're talking about here.
Yeah, I totally agree. And you were talking, during the spot about the Libertarian Party and actually making a difference. Back in 2005, 2006, reading about Ron Paul sort of, going down the minarchist rabbit hole, right? And, I came across you guys and actually heard you call these things that the government does what it is, right? It's an act of violence. And I just can't get down with that, right? So when you stop calling it a tax and you start calling it what it is, theft, right? That actually makes a difference when people hear it enough. It's like, well, oh, you don't think it is? Well, how is it not theft, right? And you really start to get people thinking at that really basic level.
I think you're right about that.
Yeah, I think that words have incredible power. That's why politicians and social organizers use them in the way that they do. Because if they spoke plainly, they'd never get what they want.
Daryl Perry, who is one of our co-hosts here on Free Talk Live, is taking a break right now while he's working on the Liberty Lobby site. But he actually is a publisher, and one of the books he sent me when I was in jail for civil disobedience was all about this. It was called The Doublespeak Dictionary, and it kind of goes down this list of euphemisms that the government likes to use and what they really are, what those terms actually mean. And you gave a couple of good examples there, David. Anything else you want to share tonight?
Just one more thing for everybody listening is awesome. Top of the hour, so you're probably picking up a new station or two. But y'all do awesome work. Everybody that's listening on a regular basis, go donate. It's amp.freetalklive.com. Thanks, definitely share a little value for value.
Appreciate it. Thanks for the call tonight. I appreciate hearing from you. Our toll-free number, allowing you to take control of the airwaves, 855-450-FREE. Coming up, Blue Lives Matter. This is a law in Louisiana that is allowing police to charge people basically with...
It's a law in a lot of states.
Like a hate crime against the police. And there's been an arrest now, and somebody's been charged under this. You're going to tell us about that, Melanie, coming up. But first, we got Christian on the line, calling from, I don't know, where are you at these days, Christian?
Hey, guys, it's kind of funny. I'm in the same city as David. I should, hello, David.
Oh, you're in Raleigh,
North Carolina.
All right, well, you know what? What were you calling about tonight?
I am just calling about the whole monarchy thing. There's a great book by an author called Hans Hermann Hoppe.
I want you to tell me more about it here in a moment. Stick with us, Christian. We'll bring it back for that. Our toll-free number is 855-450-FREE, 855-450-3733. You can take control of the airwaves and bring up whatever's on your mind. This is Free Talk Live.
Today, how to incorporate your business in just 10 minutes so you won't lose everything if you get sued. Step 1, stop putting it off. If you're not incorporated and someone sues your business tomorrow, it's not just your business at risk. You can lose everything: your home, your car, even your life savings. Step 2, call the following number for a free 10-minute incorporation guide from Incorporate.com. 1-800-945-1063. They don't provide legal or financial advice. They just make incorporating quick and easy. So you can incorporate or form an LLC in just 10 minutes. That number again is 1-800-945-1063. Step 3, congratulate yourself. By taking just 10 minutes to incorporate your business or form an LLC, you protected your home, your car, and your life savings. And that is how you incorporate your business in just 10 minutes. But hurry while they're still giving away these 10-minute incorporation guides for free. Call 1-800-945-1063. That's 1-800-945-1063.
You are what you eat? No, not true. You are what you can absorb, because not absorbing nutrition leads to nutritional deficiency and degenerative diseases. Medication does not fix nutritional deficiencies, and North American soil is now 85% nutritionally depleted. That means your body is not getting the vitamins it needs from just grown foods. Introducing Protovite, the world's first and only full-spectrum protosomal supplement. Protovite is a proprietary liquid system that allows premium quality nutrients to positively affect the blood in an astonishing 5 minutes. That's rapid absorption. Then Protovite liquid continues to release sustained nutrition in the stomach, intestines, and colon over a prolonged period of time. See Protovite in action. Watch our amazing 2-minute live blood cell video today at TrueHealthFacts.com. That's TrueHealthFacts.com, or call 502-410-3411, 502-410-3411. Protovite is nutrition you can feel. Protovite is nutrition that gets in.
So the protection of life, liberty, and property is what the Free State Project is all about. But it's an effort to move 20,000 people who understand.
It's about demonstrating to the entire country
that, yeah, we can have a free market, a truly free market.
Making it just a freer, great place to live.
It's the world's largest voluntarist libertarian community, and it's only getting bigger.
That's amazing, to be able to move to a place where other people passionately believe in being free and independent.
What the Free State Project is managing to do, though, is to put their money where their mouth is. It's physically getting up across the country and saying, let's go someplace and let's demonstrate the power of these ideas. There's a lot of kind of philosophy that surrounds liberty. There's a lot of thinking about it and talking about it. But here in New Hampshire, people are doing it.
101 Reasons Liberty Lives in New Hampshire, a documentary by Free State Project Early Movers. Watch it free at 101reasonsfilm.com. 101reasonsfilm.com. Free Talk Live has partnered with Amazon, the largest internet retailer. Imagine a department store category, and Amazon has it. Books, electronics, office products, furniture, jewelry, automotive, toys, clothing, sporting goods, and dozens of other categories. Now you can shop and support Free Talk Live by entering Amazon through our website. Go to shop.freetalklive.com, and Amazon will send us a portion of your purchase. You're going to do the shopping anyway, so remember to enter through our site at shop.freetalklive.com. That's shop.freetalklive.com.
Are you tired of governments murdering people around the world? Stop using their money. There is an alternative. Bitcoin is a stateless, free market, non-political currency. Bitcoin cannot be inflated or controlled by any government. By using their money, you are helping the state. Stop doing it. You have an incredible alternative available now. Learn it, use it, spread it. Get started with Bitcoin at bitcoin.com. That's bitcoin.com.
You can connect with the Liberty Radio Network via our Facebook page at facebook.lrn.fm. That's facebook.lrn.fm.
It's Free Talk Live. Dial toll-free and take control of the airwaves. Bring up whatever's on your mind. Coming up, Blue Lives Matter. There's been an arrest in surrounding that law that they've passed in a few different states, including Louisiana, where the police now have a law that protects their feelings from being hurt. And if you hurt a police officer's feelings, then it could be a felony charge for you, apparently.
Well, that's not what the law says. That's what the arrest happened for.
Well, it's all about who's interpreting the law. In this case, the police are interpreting it in as much favor towards them as they can.
This law is not really all that interpretable.
Well, then we'll get into that here in moments. But first, we'll go back to your calls and thoughts. Christian is on the line, also calling us from Raleigh via Skype. And welcome back to Free Talk Live. You wanted to talk about the monarchy thing, or go ahead.
Yeah. Hey. So you know, when you compare monarchy and democracy, there's a fairly famous libertarian author called Hans Hermann Hoppe, Hoppe. He wrote a book a number of years ago called "Democracy: The God That Failed," and you know that points out to how much we worship democracy in this country. And while I guess in the book he does make the case that monarchy might be a lesser evil than democracy, I didn't quite read it that way. To me, the reason why I enjoyed that book was because it questioned democracy. when do you ever hear anyone around here question democracy?
Well, on this show, it's pretty frequent.
Well,
but...
yeah, well,
around here, yeah, but not in the States so much.
Right. You mean if you mean around the average person in the United States, yeah, it doesn't really.
That's correct. That's correct.
It's taken as a given.
Show is my
right.
It's my daily let's question everything show.
Right. It's democracy. Americans take democracy as a given that it's the best political system because it's their political system. Although
they were educated in the government schools, of course.
Even though they don't know that they actually live in a republic, not a democracy.
Oh, yeah, that.
Well,
yeah, I don't even know.
I'm not even sure what the difference
we don't
is.
need to get started on that.
Well, a republic is when you elect representative officials, and a democracy is when you steal oil.
Okay, just a second. That's funny. So when you say that republic is when you have elected representatives, is that what occurred in ancient Rome? Is that the idea here? Because I mean, there are places.
What time period? That's
right.
Really
democracy,
rather vague.
I'd say a republic is a form of democracy. Is probably the best way to describe this as the terms are defined and used, and they mean the same thing. Republic means of the people. Democracy means comprised of people or whatever the hell it is. I mean, it's the same thing.
Well, and I kind of was. I guess I shouldn't have made the joke that vaguely, but. In a republic, you have elected representatives, and you also have rules, whereas in a democracy, you just vote on whatever you want. So, like, we have a constitution, we have a form of government that's set up. That's part of what makes it a republic. Just voting is a democracy.
You have a broad interpretation of a republic and a narrow interpretation of a democracy. So I live in a town that is not Keene, New Hampshire, thank God, and that towns in New England have what they call town meetings. It's a direct democracy because you vote on the things that are put forward by to the town.
The people at the meeting actually vote.
But the state itself decides what laws you can have, and we can't just decide that there's no wearing blue in our town anymore because the state hasn't allowed us to make that particular interpretation.
Okay, well, right, but you're talking about in governments that are embedded within other governments. So I think you might say that the town is a democracy, but it's a subsidiary of New Hampshire, which is a republic. I don't know that would be inaccurate, but that's kind of a more complicated situation.
All I'm saying is when somebody says that this is a republic and not a democracy, they sound remarkably like a Republican. And it's a branding exercise from what I can tell.
Well, no, I mean, I think
it
does matter.
If anyone is tickled by Melanie's idea or suggestion that monarchies might have some advantages over democracy, and if any of the audience is tickled by that, that book is a great book to read, and it doesn't make a case for monarchy. I don't want to live under a monarchy. I want to live under a voluntary society.
And I want to make this really, really clear because I'm sure I'm going to get stuff for it anyway. This is an argument over which form of government is the least worse. So we're essentially arguing over which virus we would rather have over all other viruses.
That's true.
No government is the best.
For the lesser evil.
Right. No
is that
government.
What we're trying to do.
Right. Yeah. No government is the best. But if you have to have one, if you have to have a virus, you should probably go with the flu. I think it's the most harmful as far as I know. If you have to have a government, you should probably go with.
See, I'm going to argue semantics again because this is what you're doing. You're arguing semantics. You must govern yourself. So self-government is the best, not no government.
Ooh.
That's not how anyone else defines government.
All right. Well, this ain't a damn republic.
All right, Christian, got more for us? Go ahead.
That's all I got,
Thanks,
guys.
man. Appreciate it. Toll-free number tonight, 855-450-FREE. Let's go to Ricky. He's in Pennsylvania. You're on Free Talk Live via Skype. Go ahead, Ricky.
Brother Ian, Brother Mark, and Sister Melanie, if I'm correct.
Yes.
Hey, sweetheart. Well, tonight, actually, I wanted to talk about something. I was kind of sorry, I got a problem here, mess here. But no, it was
not our problem.
No, it was my problem. Oh,
okay. You didn't just say what I thought you said there,
He came darn close.
No, I almost did. I almost did, but I didn't.
All right.
I don't think he finished
I'm a
the word.
gentleman.
Clean up the mess later. We've got a radio show to do.
No,
so
it's all
go
good.
ahead.
No, I wanted to talk. No, actually, I was on hold. No, I wanted to talk about a little bit elaborate on what I was talking about the other night. A couple key points. See, here's what I'm looking at, Ian. See, here's the gist of the only reason why somebody would even want to run as a state rep is that they could do some good, you know?
Generally.
Right.
Really?
So,
That's
No.
not
so
true.
what I'm looking
Some of them
at
want to
is
run for state rep because they can do some good for their own personal wallet because they can
believe
wield
that's good.
They can wield their power over others to benefit their friends and punish their enemies. But I think there are some people who get into it because they believe that they'll be able to help their community.
Right. Now, here's my idea. I'm going to throw it at you in a nutshell. I think you guys are kind of already on to this. You see, I'm looking at there's only one answer. You cannot fix something that's broken. You can't move forward on something that was a lie. And that's what it comes to, the unification of the states. It didn't bring us together. All it did is permanently separate us and screw us. Now, here's my plan.
I'll agree with you there.
Now, here's my plan. This is why I picked the lower levels, because I know the power that's in the lower levels. And I'm undecided on the district and the county. That's all going to depend on the next term. Now, what I'm looking at is, you know, I'm very good as an organizer throughout my life. And that's one of the things I'm going to look at doing with various other districts within Pennsylvania, get the strength within the lower levels and to utilize what PA has at its disposal. Then once I get enough strength with that, I'm going to start extending, because I was very excited and very pleased when Representative LaChance won his seat.
Now, this is a state representative here in New Hampshire who is a former law enforcement officer and a current member of Law Enforcement Against Prohibition. I'm not sure where you're going with this, Ricky, but I'll give you a chance here in a moment. So we'll continue.
Thanks, brother.
Ricky is on the line. He's going to run for state representative, he says.
He doesn't know what district, though.
The state of Pennsylvania. And he seems to believe that he can just run in any old district he wants to.
Pick one.
Which, no, you have to live in the district in which you're running.
Get a personal mailbox there. You go to the UPS store and get one.
It's fraud, Mark. The toll-free number is 855-450-FREE. It's Free Talk Live.
Charlie Daniels, he's always offended the Second Amendment.
Let me just read a little thing here from Agenda 21. Individual rights will have to take a back seat to the collective. Well, you know what the next move's going to be, don't you? It's going to be coming after your guns.
When I was a boy, it was okay to be proud of the flag. And beef was for supper. Revelation, dawn of global government. Theatrical screenings on demand. DVDs now available. Want to shed some tears over the red, white, and blue? Revelation, the movie.info.
Worried about lead, fluoride, and other contaminants in your drinking water? Get a ProPure with the Pro 1G 2.0 cleanable reusable filter and remove up to 200 contaminants. Drink water the way nature meant it to be. Clean, crisp, and refreshing. See the complete line of ProPure products, including the new ProMax shower filter. There's a ProPure for you. Visit your authorized ProPure dealer for details or ProPureUSA.com. That's ProPureUSA.com.
Are you about to meet the media? If you're about to be interviewed, do their homework for them. Know this about the person who will interview you. He or she is busy, so expect minimal, if any, preparation. He or she doesn't know as much about your topic as you do. He or she isn't as concerned as you are about getting your message out, so you need to take responsibility. Provide a biography and fact sheet, photographs, or other materials that tell your story. Reporters won't be put off if you supply frequently asked questions. Remember, Public Speaking 101, at the end of the speech, what's the one thing you want them to remember? You can download the document I supply to reporters who interview me and squirm through a video that demonstrates how not to conduct your media interview at www.survivalspeech.com. I'm Holland Cook.
In Survivor Max 2, School Bites, Max must scavenge through a wasteland swarming with the undead. Desperate to find the medicine he needs, he discovers a community of survivors at his former school. Has he finally found the safe haven he's been looking for, or will he discover that school bites? Look for Survivor Max on Facebook, read reviews on Amazon, and read Chapter 1 at SurvivorMax.com.
The three most important things you can do for Free Talk Live are: 1, share one episode a week on Facebook or in some other social networking site. 2, buy the things you buy online through shop.freetalklive.com. 3, give $5 a month to the AMP program. It's my firm belief that Free Talk Live's AMP program is the best use of your charitable dollar among liberty-oriented organizations. Support all the organizations you love. But make sure you give $5 a month to AMP at amp.freetalklive.com.
Free Talk Live.
Having spent 8 years, 6 months, and 21 days of my life in the Florida State prison system, I'm going to say that the incidences of rape are much, much exaggerated in the media. I'm sure it happened.
It makes for interesting television shows.
Yeah. I mean, all the things that I've seen on Oz, I saw in prison, but I was there for 9 years. So, if I saw one incidence of violence where somebody got their ear bit off, okay, it didn't happen every episode.
Well, I'm glad to hear that. I mean, it is a public perception, though, and people, it's almost a joke, or it's like a wink and a nod.
Yeah, sure.
Bubba's going to get you when you go to prison.
That's exactly the idea. As though sodomy somehow fixes people's broken minds. Right. That's not where they're putting that thing. So I mean, it's not gonna jostle anything around and fix it.
Free Talk Live, 7 nights a week from 7 to 10 Eastern, live on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM. While our satellite channel is free to listen to, it's not free for us. You can help us cover our satellite costs with the chip in on the right side of the page at LRN.FM.
Free Talk Live. Dial in and join us right here on the radio. Our toll-free number is 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. And should you wish to support Free Talk Live, you can do that by becoming a Free Talk Live amplifier. Just go to amp.freetalklive.com. Any major credit card through PayPal, Visa, or MasterCard are right there on the AMP site. Also, Bitcoin, we can accept that now as well. And I know some of you are very excited about that, so please head on over and get behind the show for $5 a month and get perks like access to the AMP-only call-in lines, the AMP-only Facebook group, where there's always something new. I mean, every day there's at least a couple new posts, it seems like, in the AMP group, which is very cool. Great way to get interactive with other Free Talk Live listeners and supporters, as well as some of the show hosts over at amp.freetalklive.com. That's where you can get signed up, and it makes a difference for us because we're investing that $5 a month that you give us into the show so we can get on more radio stations around the country and bring new internet listeners on board, expose new people to the ideas of freedom. So head on over to amp.freetalklive.com as we go back to your calls and thoughts. Ricky is in Pennsylvania saying he's going to run for political office there, trying to decide which district in which you want to run, which of course would mean you'd have to physically move to that district if that's what you wanted to do. And you haven't really seemed to grasp that part yet, Ricky, but go ahead with your plot.
Actually, I do, and there's an easy solution to that, to do it Rosemary and a lot of other people do. That being said,
what's that solution? I'm just curious.
Rosemary?
Rosemary? She's in my district, actually. She's the state rep.
Well, what is it
Did you expect us to know what the first name of your state rep was?
Huh?
Did you expect us to know what the first name of your state rep was?
No.
Okay, I'll tell Paul you said hi.
I think I'm pretty clear on what Ricky plans to do. That part of it, anyway. I mean, I think.
Here, I'll explain the rest of it. The reason why is, and now once I start to extend myself to New Hampshire, that's the most logical choice. See, to use the power that's within the lower levels of PA. And then extend my hand to say New Hampshire, and then somebody like Representative LaChance, he can then talk around to the New England states up by you there and around, and once you get a couple of those, we can start a nationwide movement.
You talking about secession?
And the idea ultimately is to the ultimate goal is, first of all, what would be needed is a constitutional amendment. The right way, the only way I would consider acceptable is the way that we do it. It would take 2.5 years with a 60% majority to throw away the Constitution of the United States of America and the Bill of Rights. Then, also what I plan to do with that idea, you
want a constitutional amendment to throw away the Constitution. Is that what you just said?
That actually, in theory, works.
Yeah, that'd work.
I'll explain why. Because, and the idea then would be a reunification of the states and the instillment of good government as a result. Well,
that's where you lost
That's
me.
an oxymoron.
Yeah, you
though.
can't have that, Ricky. Thanks for the call. I'm not going to hold on. Toll-free number is 855-450-FREE. Look, keep your good government nonsense down there in Pennsylvania. Not interested in unifying the United States. We want to get out of the United States. Now, I can't speak for everybody, but I think that all the people in this studio tend to support the idea of secession.
Yeah, I mean, as less government as possible. Right now, we have basically two gangs. I mean, you still have Cheshire here and then Keene, but those are subsidiaries, really, of New Hampshire. So essentially, you have two gangs. If we could bring that down to one, that'd be great. If we could bring it down to zero, that'd be even better.
Right. Now, Mark, you're more of a nullification guy, but if secession were on the ballot, you'd probably vote for it, wouldn't you?
I probably would, simply because you have to send a message. I think the United States government has stepped well beyond its constitutional role, and you don't get better government, as Ricky just said, by continuing to endorse their bullcrap.
Right, and reunifying. Look, the whole federal government has been an abject failure of an experiment. Some of the ideas that it was founded on, the Bill of Rights, there's some good stuff in there, no doubt about that, but obviously it didn't work out, and the federal government doesn't care about what the Bill of Rights says, and they don't care about your rights and your freedoms. They want to take your obedience, and they want to take your money. And reformulating that at the national level is not going to, make a new, improved federal government. I'm not interested in that. Whatever the proposal would be, I don't care how much better. If somebody comes up with some great constitution that is supposedly so much better than the current one, I don't care. I'm not interested. Even if Ron Paul, by some miracle, were to be elected president of the United States, I would still support secession. Because I don't care about the idea of the United States and continuing that concept. I support decentralization, as small a government as possible, hopefully zero. But, we're going to have to take steps because, unfortunately, we're not going to wake up tomorrow with a big red button that we can push to get rid of the government. As much as some of us would love to have that option, it's just not likely going to happen. So we have to work as much as we can in as incremental of a fashion as we can to get from here to where we want to be, which is total freedom. And a good step along that road is to get rid of the idea of this behemoth national government that has control over a humongous swath of land and resources, and that you have next to zero amount of influence in. So we'll continue here. Your calls and thoughts, 855-450-FREE. David is on the line in New Mexico via Skype. Hello, David.
Hey, I tried to get in on your conversation last night when I don't know which you guys were present on rights. Does anybody remember that conversation from last night about rights?
Sure. Just a recap for listeners just tuning in. The discussion was sort of about the nature of rights and where do they come from. I, as usual, was arguing that they are an agreement between human beings that benefits humans. Mark, you were arguing that they are built into the universe, so to speak, and so therefore built in.
Yeah, I would say
people.
That rights that rights are natural.
Wait, you think rights are contractual?
No, not contractual. They're an unspoken agreement, and people should speak what the rights are so people understand what they are. But they're an idea that people have come up with to help us get along and benefit.
All I know is I wish I could master whatever that tone was that she just had, because she just made you sound dumb as hell.
Okay, well, why don't you tell us what you think they are, Melanie?
Those are Mark's words, not mine.
I was going to ask you what
you think rights are a contract.
No, they're an agreement between people, and if people don't agree on them, then you don't have them.
Well, you absolutely have them. That's how they can be violated.
In theory, rights should not be able to be violated. And if people agreed on them, then they wouldn't.
Based on your definition, it's physically impossible to violate rights, because if people don't agree you have them, then they act contrary to them, then they're not violated. You just don't have them because everybody didn't agree. No, rights are inherent to you being a human being. By virtue of you being a human being,
Aren't you an atheist?
What does that have to do with anything?
I don't know. Where do the rights come from by virtue of being a human being? You were just born with them?
I'd go a little bit farther than that, but yeah.
Are you there?
Yeah, we're right here.
Yeah. What I'd like to suggest is that it's all of the above. There are. Well, first of all, let's go to the basic, the inherent rights. Let me just rip off some words here to lay the basis. Inherent, innate, inborn, intrinsic, God-given, natural, universal. There's those kind of rights, and those are the rights that I guess you could also call them human rights and even animal rights. And those are the ones that are referred to when the people that did set up this country, when they were talking about unalienable rights, that they were God-given. So therefore, the United States cannot take them away.
Well, if they're so natural and God-given, then why weren't they around at the time when cavemen were clubbing each other over the head for territory and women?
Well, you're not.
Well, they were. Let me answer your question. They were around. It's just they weren't being recognized. And I'm not. Let me also inject that
they have to be agreed upon by people.
Also, yeah, but let me also.
Then they're not really
that.
rights. Then they're just social contracts.
Well,
Here, hold that thought, David. We'll continue. The toll-free number is 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733.
Everything Ian can't hold in his hand is a social construct. You'll find that out here very shortly once you have this conversation.
You can take control of the airwaves. Bring up whatever's on your mind. This is Free Talk Live.
People who can afford a LASIK procedure sure are lucky. Imagine being able to throw away your contacts and glasses. Imagine waking up tomorrow with 20/20 vision. Too bad everyone can't afford LASIK. Well, guess what? There's a company that agrees with you. TLC Laser Eye Centers is now offering great prices on high-quality LASIK to make it affordable for everyone. That means you get the latest FDA-approved all-laser LASIK technology for less than what others charge. And if you call right now, we'll schedule a free appointment so you can discover if LASIK is right for you. Results may vary. Call 1-800-929-5733. Even better, if you're one of the first 100 callers, ask about an extra $400 off your all-laser LASIK procedure. That's $200 off per eye. We've already performed over 2 million procedures. Let us help you. Discover how you can get the quality LASIK experience you deserve for less than what others charge. For your free appointment, call 1-800-929-5733. 1-800-929-5733.
Hi, this is Ted Anderson. Investment Rarities, a 43-year-old company, has created the best silver offer ever. Get a U.S. Silver Eagle, Canadian Maple Leaf, Austrian Philharmonic, OPM Pure Bar, and Silver Round. Have all 5 for $99 postpaid. You heard me right, 5 ounces of silver below cost. No credit card fees, free shipping. Just $99 and you'll have a great start on what it takes to survive even the worst economic storm. Act now and receive Jim Cook's exclusive paper explaining how it's possible to make a fortune in silver today. Don't miss this opportunity. Call 800-328-1860. Read how the above-ground supply of silver has dropped below even gold. The secret is being suppressed. The price could explode at any time. Call today at 800-328-1860. Get 5 ounces of silver for only $99. Find them on the web at investmentrarities.com or call 800-328-1860. Call now before it's too late. 800-328-1860.
I've been told no in many different ways.
I give you an order and you're going to obey it.
George, you can go this way.
You can't do that and you have to leave here.
You cannot bring signs into the rally.
Walk with me. Well, I'm comfortable here, actually. Whoa, hey, who do you think you are? Excuse me.
There is no video and audio allowed in this office.
No, I have work today. You ain't gonna make it. Wait, now. Wait a minute. Hey! Oh my God! Unbelievable! Why are you running from me? Because you're scared me. What am I being detained for?
You're being served.
What is this?
You're being served.
What is this? Bureaucrats have a funny way of telling people no.
That's the sound of the men working on the chain.
Derek J's Victimless Crime Spree. Watch it for free and order the Director's Cut DVD at victimlesscrimespree.com. Did you know you can watch Free Talk Live during our live shows 7 days a week from 7 to 10 p.m. Eastern via our studio cams at cam.freetalklive.com? Plus, you can chat with other listeners while you watch, all totally free. Now that our live video stream is hosted by YouTube, our video archives will be online even faster, so be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Listen, watch, and chat all free at cam.freetalklive.com. That's cam.freetalklive.com.
I love My Magic Mud. I drink a lot of coffee. I had stains on my teeth. Then I found My Magic Mud, and I was told it would remove stains. So I paid attention when I brushed the first time. My Magic Mud is black tooth powder, and the difference it made in my teeth in one application was noticeable. With 4, my teeth were as white as you normal folks out there. Please go to mymagicmud.com and buy a jar. There's 150 applications for $25. You can use Bitcoin, mymagicmud.com.
Help get LRN.FM into more ears. Visit promote.lrn.fm for a free bumper sticker, flyers, banners, graphics, and more. Promote.lrn.fm.
This is Free Talk Live. You can join us on the radio here in the remaining moments. Our toll-free number is 855-450-FREE. Yes, once again, we've ended... Whoa, there goes that music. Once again, we've ended up on the topic of rights here on Free Talk Live. Where do they come from? And if they are indeed natural, as two of our 3 co-hosts here tonight are alleging...
And the caller.
And the caller, and we'll get back to David here in a moment. If indeed they are natural, then why is it that so many people don't inherently understand them? I mean, if you look at things that are instinctual...
Well, a lot of people don't inherently understand chemistry and advanced physics. That doesn't mean they're not real.
Okay, but to say it's built into the fabric of the universe, or
so is chemistry and physics.
Given to you by God, or a natural thing is by birth, then...
So is the digestive system. That doesn't mean everybody understands it.
Yeah, but you understand that you put something in your belly, you're going to continue on for some period of time.
And people understand what their property is if they don't understand others.
Sure.
That's the point that I made last night, is that people are born understanding property in the sense that
toddlers understand homesteading. I was here first.
Yep.
Sure. No doubt about it. And I want to agree with you guys on this because I like the idea, and I think that when we talk about the idea of rights, I like what Mark was saying last night, that these rules are written into the fabric of the universe and they're immutable or whatever. Generally, I like that concept, but it doesn't seem that most people are on board with that. And if you look at like instincts, for instance, the dog that when it's done peeing, it kind of kicks its feet a little bit to bury the urine or whatever. They turn around in their bed a few times before they lay down to make sure the grass is all matted down, even though they're not laying on grass. They're still, that instinct's still there. That's something that's inherent within their programming in the universe.
Well, right, but dogs don't have a 12-year indoctrination system to kick that out of them, and humans do.
But even without a 12-year indoctrination system, it's not uncommon to be on the preschool playground and have somebody go knock somebody else down or attack somebody else.
Dogs go into other dogs' territory.
Yeah, absolutely. So that's my point.
Are you claiming that dogs don't understand territory?
Are you saying that Ross Ulbricht was wrong?
They don't
because
have an agreement
a majority of people convicted him?
No, absolutely not. I'm not saying.
Okay,
that
so then how is he right? Like, if there's a general consensus, that drugs are wrong, or at least drugs outside of alcohol and marijuana are wrong, then how are you violating anyone's rights by arresting them for heroin or cocaine if there's not a consensus that they have that right,
well, that's
and you
the
need
thing.
a consensus to
we
get
have
it?
A different idea of what rights are than other people have. Our belief system is in the vast minority of human beings as far as what rights are and how they should be respected. We're trying our best to communicate what rights should be and how people should behave towards one another, and it's a brutally difficult job to try to get this simple concept out into mankind. So let's bring David back on the line here. David, you're on in New Mexico. Go ahead with your thoughts.
Yeah, what I said in the very first was that I agree with all 3 of you. There are rights that originate from different sources, whether they're inherent, intrinsic, or they are contractual, or they are social constructs. There are rights that come out of all 3 of those. So I agree with you, Ian, but I also agree with the other side of it. Mm-hmm. I don't think it's an either or. It's an all of the above. Yes.
Yeah. No, I'm with you there.
Right. Okay. And the inherent rights, they're a state of being. They just are, and we can agree that they are, or we can disagree whether they are or not. But those of us that
well, that's where the problem comes in. Without agreement, you just have an idea. You just have an idea that has no real
but
effect.
you have so like a couple weeks ago, you and I were arguing against Mark that we thought marriage meant something and Mark didn't because you couldn't enforce it. Now you're saying that rights don't exist if you can't enforce them.
No, what I'm saying is I like the idea of rights. We should have that idea, but we need to convince people to go along with it. Otherwise, it's useless.
Well, I agree that we need to convince more people. Otherwise, it doesn't...
Right.
They're not
Otherwise,
all that
it's just
useful,
an idea.
but
Certainly
they
no
still
one's-
exist.
Certainly, no one's disagreeing
No, they don't
with you
exist.
on that point. They don't exist in.
You can't touch them
in the corporeal world. But that's to say that then property doesn't exist. Rights are a function of property. So you have the right to drive a car.
Property rights are also an idea.
You have
the
right to speech because you have vocal cords. Right. Rights are a function of property. You own your body. Now, without.
Well, you should own your body, but it's pretty clear you don't.
Well, but you do, because otherwise
men with guns will take your body and put it in a prison
So when a member
cell.
of KPD kidnaps you,
Yeah.
Are they violating your rights?
Absolutely, they are.
How is
But
that?
they don't think so.
But how is that true if the law exists and people support that law?
I don't understand the question.
Because you're saying that rights don't exist unless we agree to them. Well, people agreed to.
Well, they won't exist even if you agree to them because it's just an idea. I mean, they exist as much as any other idea exists. They're darn good ideas, and we should propagate them and get people to agree on them so we can have a more successful and happy life.
They're an abstraction, but that doesn't make them fictitious.
Ian, so I think I might have it here. I may have it. Is there something that exists that is not an idea? So is it possible that property and therefore rights is something more than an idea, that it's instinctual? In the same way that I don't have to think every time...
The evidence is not that it's instinctual, however, because people reject the ideas, this very same ideas that we're talking about.
We have made the argument here, and if you listen, that people understand some of the ideas instinctually. I'm not saying
people
that they're
understand
born
mine.
with your understanding of property. We have to figure that out as time goes by. But they are born with with an understanding of property innately in them.
I think there's evidence for that. Mine. Right.
Mine.
Yeah, sure.
Okay. So,
but when they go and take somebody else's thing, then they believe that's theirs.
Right,
that's a problem.
This is the reason it is.
Someone has to teach them that's not okay.
It is instinctual to an extent because the reason why the government uses euphemisms in the first place is because if KPD went around saying we kidnapped 7 people today,
Keene Police Department,
people would have a problem with that. That's why they call it arrest. That's why they call it taxes instead of theft. Because if the federal government came out and is like, well, we raised $200 million in theft from income taxes this quarter or whatever, people would react to that. But if you call it taxes instead of, we raised
from
$700 million, income theft, they do that because it's instinctual, not because it's not.
I get where you're coming from, David. More?
Yeah, I think it might be helpful to define what we're talking about if you want to introduce, other than just property in general, if you want to introduce different ideas or behaviors, actions, whatever, and say, is this a right or is this not a right? It helps to define what a right is and where it came from. For instance, to go super basic, breathing the air. Do you have a right to take a breath and then exhale it? And if so, then where does that right come from?
Except
and then
that the only rights are property rights.
Well, I disagree.
See, here we are again. Disagreement on what the rights are.
Well, but I can back it up.
We got 4 people in one room and 3 or 4 different opinions about this.
With that example, as far as breathing the air is recycled over and over and over again. It's not consumed and used up and never to be seen or used by anybody else ever again.
What about a right to water? Should people have a right to, if they have a right to air, should they also have a right to drink water?
Yeah, absolutely. That was what I was suggesting. Is
I could just walk in the market basket and take some water because it's water and not pay for it.
No, you have a right to have water to use for your life. You don't necessarily have the right to go take.
Well, no, I'm going to use it. I'm going to use it for my life. I'm going to drink it.
What about
it's
trespassing?
Not mine.
Does she have a right to trespass on my land and drink from the spring?
It depends. Well, yes and no. It depends on what country you live in at this point. Some places yes, and some places no.
So now we're talking about agreements between people.
Those are laws.
Yeah, let me answer your question.
And we're talking about social constructs here. We're talking about social constructs, agreements between people and societies. That's ultimately what this all breaks down to. Because if people don't agree, you just have an idea that no one agrees with. Sorry. Sorry. Hey, David, good call, man. Thanks for the combo. I appreciate it. Toll-free number tonight. Actually, you probably don't have to join us on the toll-free number because we're running out of time. But so I love the idea of rights. I support these concepts. But obviously, our idea of rights is different from what David's idea of rights are. I like the idea of private property. But I understand where David's coming from. Like, hey, you should have a right to breathe, shouldn't you? But a proprietarian would say, well, if you're on their property, then you don't have a right to.
Okay,
to
well,
breathe.
There's two problems there. Air is a bad example because air is effectively non-scarce. It's not non-scarce, but it's effectively non-scarce. So
tell them that in Beijing.
And B, when you invite someone onto your property, you're inviting them onto your property. The air is yours because it's on your property. You have obligations to, I guess, to like not kill them and such. So it's implicit in the agreements to come into the studio that I'm allowed to breathe the air in the studio.
I wish we had more time for this one. It's a good conversation. We'll see you tomorrow night. Online in the meantime at freetalklive.com. We'll have to talk about Blue Lives Matter maybe next week. Or we'll be back tomorrow.
Foodforliberty.com sells high-quality, storable foods from Numana. And right now, take advantage of our summer special. Purchase 2 family packs and we'll send you a Pro Pure Water Pitcher, a $70 value, free. This premium pitcher is ideal for use with just about any water source and removes more contaminants than other brands. And it comes with a filter that lasts up to 2 full years. Whether you need to be prepared in the event of an emergency, you're an outdoor sports enthusiast, Numana is known for high-quality, great-tasting, GMO-free, super nutritious food with no chemical preservatives. And with a 25-year shelf life, you can't beat the feeling of being food secure when you need it most. Go to foodforliberty.com right now for great-tasting, high-quality, storable foods from Numana. Buy 2 family packs and get the Pro Pure Water Pitcher free. It makes good sense to be prepared. Get it at foodforliberty.com.
On the second Saturday of every month, the Texas Republic Congress meets in a joint session. To learn how you can attend or become a member of Congress, visit thetexasrepublic.com. And together, we can liberate Texas.
For years, LRN.FM has had a listen line that you can call and listen to LRN.FM anytime. Now we're taking the idea to a new level with the LRN.FM audio on demand line. You can call 641-793-9660 anytime and listen to LRN.FM's live feed, and you can listen to a bunch of our original shows on demand. Long distance fees may apply. Just dial 641-793-9660 and choose from the menu. 641-793-9660.
This is the Liberty Radio Network, broadcasting the latest liberty-oriented audio content 24 hours a day at LRN.FM.
Understanding your credit score is the first step towards managing and improving it. This is Charlie Sundstrom with your Van Dyke Mortgage Minute. The most influential component of your credit score is your payment history. Almost equally as important is the amount you owe on credit accounts. Also impacting your score, but to a lesser degree, are the length of time you've utilized your credit, the number of new accounts, credit inquiries, and your various types of credit accounts. To help achieve or maintain a healthy credit score, have a system set up to assure your bills are always paid on time. Don't max out your cards. It's better to have a high credit limit with a low balance. Never close old accounts. The age of these can actually help your credit score. But don't be afraid to use your credit. You need several accounts in order to have a credit score. Just keep the corresponding payments within your means. For your mortgage pre-approval and refi needs, start by visiting VanDykeMortgage.com.
Corporate NMLS 3035. Van Dyke Mortgage is an equal housing lender. Charlie Sundstrom, NMLS 134251.
The 3 most important things you can do for LRN.FM are: 1. Let your friends know you're listening to LRN.FM on your social networking profile. 2. Buy the things you buy online through shop.lrn.fm. 3. Give $5 a month to the AMP program at amp.lrn.fm. It's my firm belief that the AMP program is the best use of your charitable dollar among liberty-oriented groups. Support all your favorite organizations, but make sure you give $5 a month to the AMP program at amp.lrn.fm.
This is your Roberts & Roberts Brokerage Daily Precious Metals Update. In early trading Monday, gold is $4 higher at $1,271 per ounce, and silver is 32 cents higher at $17.88 per ounce. Bitcoin is currently trading at $650 US. Roberts & Roberts Brokerage has been helping clients buying and selling precious metals for nearly 40 years. For more information, call Roberts & Roberts Brokerage at 800-874-9760 or visit us online at rrbi.co.
This is the Liberty Radio Network, broadcasting the latest liberty-oriented audio content 24 hours a day at LRN.FM. The latest edition of We Are Libertarians is next on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM. Get more at WeAreLibertarians.com.
As my voice kind of carries naturally. I want to thank everybody for being here. My name is Brett Bittner. I'm the Executive Director for the Advocates for Self-Government. You've probably seen the world's smallest political quiz if you've ever done any tabling on campus. It's something that we offer as a way for people to find their political tendency. It's not going to identify what party you should vote for. It's not going to identify how you should consider issues. It's the starting point where you naturally begin your political decision-making. And so when you take the world's smallest political quiz, there's a diamond chart. I've got plenty up here if anybody needs one. If you've never taken it before, please do stop by. As Chris said, I was definitely going to make sure that you did take the quiz. And I would like to thank Chris Spangle for once again opening for me. He does that a lot. He does a lot of things right before I do to help build everybody up for the headliner. I'd like to thank Greg for opening for me as well. He hasn't done that for
close for me.
Oh, okay. Well, that's fine. That's fine too. So, like Travis said, I've never been anything but a libertarian. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean political party-wise. I didn't really identify as a member of any political party until about 10 years ago. But I've known since I was 12 that conservatives and liberals, neither one spoke to me on issues in a round sense. No one spoke to what I believed in their political philosophy in the way that they were talking about issues. I actually have a very similar story to Travis about how I got interested in politics, and it was in 1992 when that little guy from Texas with big ears was talking about something that was different than President George H.W. Bush and soon-to-be President Clinton. He was talking about something that was different, and that was appealing to me. The beauty of that is libertarians are talking about something different. And that's appealing to a lot of people right now. Because there are so many things that are happening in the world and the political landscape that aren't speaking to, especially millennials, but Americans in general. We're not pigeonholed like we once were as conservative Republicans, liberal Democrats, and a few people who just don't vote. For the most part now, we're actually independent thinkers. We're centrists. We're moderates. We're not necessarily hardline conservative or hardline progressive. We are thinking about things in a very different way, and the beauty of everybody, or so many people thinking about things in a different way, is they're looking at new views, and that's where our opportunity comes to pass. Also, like Travis, I got re-engaged in politics in 2007. I actually traveled to the debate that Travis talked about in South Carolina, where I saw the fight between Rudy Giuliani and Ron Paul on stage live. And that was the moment that the glass shattered for me, that I needed to reinvest my efforts in a political way. And as many people have said, Ron Paul spoke to me. Well, he did. It was already there. But what he did for me was he brought it out, and he brought it to the forefront for me to make sure that I was involved in politics. I had taken a big break after having served working for Ross Perot before I was even old enough to vote for the guy when he was running for president in '96. He didn't get on the ballot where I live, so my job was over about July, but I was actually actively trying to get him on the ballot in the state of Georgia. That awakening 11 years later, when I heard Ron Paul talk about our foreign policy, was something that got me re-engaged in politics. Today, I can say that if there's something political that has happened, if there is electoral politics that has taken place, I have done it. I've knocked on doors. I've delivered yard signs. I've been out there shaking hands. I've been out there kissing babies. I've been out there giving the quiz. I've been at pride parades. I've been at gun shows. I've been at book fairs. On top of that, I've actually run for office. And I am a libertarian unicorn. Not because I've run for office, not because I won an election,